Strike gold in the Lone Star State. That's right. The NASCAR Cup, O'Reilly Series, and Truck Series all head south to Texas Motor Speedway. We get you set for the occasion with our best bets next, right here on the back road.
I don't drive a Monte Carlo, and my truck ain't painted black. It ain't got a big white number 3 turning left around the track.
Diecast NASCAR fans out there. Let's go!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Back Road. It is In Between Media's NASCAR betting show. Elliot Hick Seth Woolcock back with you. Tell you what, Seth, the Bapples are back in season. Draft is all wrapped up and ready to rip some NASCAR down in the Lone Star State. Texas Motor Speedway, host of the NASCAR, all 3 series this weekend. Can't wait, man.
Dude, this is one of those tracks, Elliot, became really like, in the 2000 teens, not a very great track for NASCAR racing, right? And it has slowly rebuilt itself into one of the most unique and honestly one of the more difficult tracks to handicap, I think, as well. But it presents a very intriguing opportunity for bettors each and every time we go to Texas. So excited to have it back here in the spring. Excited for everything we got going on over here at IBT. As you said, the Busch Light Apples are back. The NFL draft was brilliant down there along the North Shore of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So life is good, my friend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you got that right. The racing, thankfully, has gotten a lot better, but definitely more difficult to handicap. I see that from your bets. We'll talk about that a little later. Tonight's program will go as usual. We will look back in the rear view at Talladega. Really exciting weekend down there, but it's Talladega. When is it not an exciting weekend down there in Alabama? In our horizon forecast, we will break down all there is to know about Texas. And in our parking garage props, we'll give you our best bets for the race weekend down in the Lone Star State. Couple of good places that we want you guys to check out too. We appreciate you hopping on the show, watching along, whether you're live with us now or watching along later, listening on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review if you like us over there. To get all of our racing content, though, the place you want to go is the Backroad YouTube sub-channel that we got ripping and rolling. We got all our bonus content over there. Shorts coming out on a weekly basis, as well as bonus episodes occasionally. Been a while since we've ripped one of those. We will have to fire one up soon. We are getting back into the racing season. F1 is back after a couple weeks. Indy 500 is right around the corner. So that's a home for not just the NASCAR stuff, but everything there is to know about motorsports over there. And the place to be, if you want to chat with us, after this show and everything like that, the IBT Racing family is where you want to be. Free to join and gain access to the chat with all of us over there. Always a good time each and every race weekend. Entry into our memorabilia giveaways. We'll have another one around the corner as we get toward Memorial Day and the summer and all that fun stuff. We just ask for $3.99 a month or $36 for the year for access to our exclusive weekly betting model, of which our guy Chris does a great job taking the wheel on that. Great data from everywhere he gets his data. You as well, Seth, as well as iFantasy Race, our good pal over there. You also get access to our full weekly card over there. Usually I end up putting it in before showtime so you can get a little sneak peek on where I'm leaning before the show starts. And, of course, those additions throughout the weekend coming in. And a really fun addition that we've had this year. It would be fun even if I wasn't doing well, but being right on Chris's rear end for the lead, it makes the head-to-head matchups contest all the more exciting. Each and every week you can pick a matchup and it will win prizes at the end of the year on the leaderboard. We'll talk more about that at the end of the show as well. The link to all the fun in the episode description in dashbetweenmedia.com/chat is where to go for the racing family. It's _Backroad for the YouTube channel. Lots of fun, lots of racing fun around, and lots of fun going on with IBT as well, because that gets you into the football family, entertainment family, and golf family that we're flipping through. So it's just the one price. You can enter for free to chat with us, and then we got lots of good stuff behind that paywall too.
Yeah, we've been hitting dingers, man. April, I slowed down a little bit myself, a little bit, more in the red. I was 2 units up coming out of night one of the NFL draft. I'm like, hey, let's just go all in, right? I put those 2 units back in on a bet, did not come through. So we finished a little bit about 1 unit down in the red over there in the NFL betting streets, but already looking at futures right now for the NFL season, the college football season. Right now, we're still kind of tracking some gainers down over there in the entertainment streets as well. And Jake and Mike and Keith doing a great job on the golf scene, keeping us connected over there. A couple more majors up on the calendar here in May. So looking forward to all that, and appreciate everyone who's hanging out with us as well tonight. Elliot, of course, we got the couple of the regular gyms in here. We got Marcus saying today is his cousin's 18th birthday, and she'll be going to college in Oklahoma. A little OU Sooner action there. Marcus, of course, asking who everyone is picking this weekend at Texas. No surprise for him. It is Christopher Bell once again. Nick stopping in as well, saying what's up. The picks for him this weekend are Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, Alex Bowman, and Brad Keselowski. So we got Nick trying to hit a little bit of a long shot action. Got to like that as well, Elliot.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Got some long shots on the card as well. Interesting this week when we get to the bets. Before we get to everything else that we got going on, though, if you saw last week, Rod and Chris took over the show. Appreciate them for doing that for us while we were busy with draft stuff. And Rod announced that he's stepping down as a full-time member with In Between and the Backroad, and just wanted to take the opportunity to pass along our thanks for all that he's done. I mean, to use a saying that I've heard before on them streets, Rod was with us before we had a pot to piss in, really. And he stuck with us as we built this up, and we appreciate all that he's done for the Backroad and for In Between Media, and very thankful for everything.
Yeah, man, I'm so grateful for Rod and everything he's done, for the last 4 or so years for this particular program. And not only that, but just like the lessons this guy has taught me in hosting, being a professional in this space, and also just about life, right? And that's what this decision comes down to, right? Rod has a couple kids who going to be out of the house in a couple of years, so I want to make sure that he's giving them full attention. He's, of course, has his NASCAR betting show going on with Cody over at SGPN. So a lot of great stuff happening for Rod right now in his life. And yeah, Hot Rod, we're going to miss you, baby. Keep being an American hero, though, and keep on doing those car lifts, and I'll keep following him. But, yeah, very grateful for Rod, and going to miss him big time. But, I know you and I and Chris, we're going to keep trying to swing a hot bat throughout the remainder of the season without him.
Yeah, absolutely. And glad for all he's done. And, hey, that door's not closed and locked. He's always welcome here as a part of the IBT family. But all the great stuff he's got going on, we certainly will continue to keep an eye on it as well.
Yes, we will. And we got Skull dropping in as well, saying early picks. Chase Elliott 16-1, Hocevar back-to-back on the 20-1, Buscher 20-1 as well. Really curious about your guys' picks, because Texas, it can be weird. It gets weird down. Like, I know we're not going to Austin, right? And like Austin's where it gets weird down in Texas, but Fort Worth, the DFW area, Elliot, a little weird too sometimes, especially when we get to NASCAR racing.
Yeah, I'm sure. I haven't spent any time down there, but I'm sure I will at some point. And hey, this week we can bring back a phrase that we had used previously on the program. We are certainly ready for the Texas fuckery coming this weekend. I can't wait. Before we get to the Texas stuff, though, let's take a look back in the rear view.
Fired up.
Baby, that's how you do it. Thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. You are the man. No way! We did it! Yeah!
A trio of really exciting races at Talladega, great finishes, and all 3 series that raced down there had first-time winners. And we have to start with the Cup Series. Carson Hocevar finally gets it done. His first career win in the NASCAR Cup Series. And not only does he get the checkered flag, but that really was the celebration of a lifetime by Hocevar. Glad he pulled it off without falling out of the car or getting hurt. That was the big worry at first, but definitely one of those moments that I feel like we'll remember forever in the NASCAR scene.
Dude, look, we've been saying it for years, man. Like, NASCAR needs to take a hold of this next generation and continue to flourish. And we haven't seen this type of moxie, bravo, if you would, for a long time in this series. So it's great to see Carson Hocevar. And he almost like did the Ross Chastain, where in the past, like, hey, we get a little JoJo the Circus Clown when we're out in front trying to throw crazy blocks. This was just, hey, I'm staying in my line. I know I have the cars behind me to push me to the finish, and let's just anchor down here. And he did a great job. And that celebration, man, those long dangling legs that he has, we see him every year at Pocono. Tall, lanky guy compared to a lot of these drivers, and it finally came in handy for him there with being able to do that. And it looks like this will not be a band celebration. We heard, of course, from the new NASCAR CEO on the teardown there on Sunday night, Elliot. And we don't need the bump in and trying to do the burnout when we're in the car. Maybe that was a little bit much, but great job by Carson Hocevar, not only there on the celebration on the closing laps, but to put himself in position. We heard from him on Dale Jr. Download this week, Elliot. He missed the big one just because he was kind of yo-yoing back and forth from the back trying to set that fastest lap like he has done in previous super speedway races. So really great to see him sneak through there. And then kind of, it was really him and Buescher's race for the last stage or so?
Yeah, probably about the last 40 laps or so. Hocevar and Buescher controlled the lanes. And with Alex Bowman sitting as the second car in the bottom lane, of course, that's the alternate view that I've got on, is that 48 in-car camera.
Yep.
That's kind of what I was thinking, that Hocevar is going to Hocevar himself and do something stupid running up front. And that would be the lane for Alex to take the win. But it shows the maturity that Hocevar has done, and the fact that, all weekend long, his attitude was, not only should I win this race, but I am going to win this race. And that is a dangerous mentality to have at a place like Talladega. But he was able to play his cards right, ends up not being involved in the big crash there. I guess we'll start with the big crash before we talk about some of the other racing. Bubba Wallace ends up getting turned in front of the field. Some people trying to blame Bubba, some people trying to blame your guy, Ross Chastain. I think it was just one of those racing deals. Guys are trying to make pushes at the front of the field. You're able to start kind of racing there in the middle of the race there. And just one of those that takes out a lot of cars. You got a few at the back that made it through, a few at the front that made it through, a couple of guys with damage, but really took out some heavy hitters there in the middle of the race.
Kind of reminded me of that Daytona race a few years back. I think it was 23, 22, whenever the rain came and no one knew about it and took out most of the field there. What was that, summer, August? I think we were down there.
Summer of 22, yep.
Yeah, I think we were down there with Derek and the gang in Lancaster doing a live reaction to that show in Big Car Barn. So it's kind of what it reminded me of, right? And you kind of had to see who was through, who was not. And unfortunately for me, a lot of the drivers and the cars I was gambling on it did not make it through. But that's the way that goes. And no, I don't think this is Bubba getting too crazy. And I've compared him to JoJo the Circus Clown or a bull in the China shop occasionally when he's been out in front. But it just felt like he got a little bit too big of a push, got a little squirrely there. And I don't really blame anyone necessarily. Like, we know Bubba Wallace, outside of Austin Cindric, outside of maybe Carson Hocevar starting to make his name, Tyler Reddick, like, I think he's one of the better super speedway racers. He can always keep it there on the track. So it is a racing deal. I don't think there's any shade that needs to go either way on that one.
No, I don't think so either. In terms of how the racing was, I mean, it's almost two separate problems here. You mentioned it was kind of Buescher on the outside, Hocevar on the inside, or wherewithal, because you just get that gridlock even with only half the field in the race. And maybe that was part of it. You're not really going to get a viable third line with a third of the cars sitting in the garage. But I feel like that's more of a car problem. In terms of the fuel saving stuff, stage one, at times you definitely had a lot of that fuel saving, had a couple separate packs of pit strategy, things like that. But even though the racing that you saw in 2 and 3 was either big crashes or more of that kind of gridlock, getting all the fuel saving crap out of the way early, I think, is better than having most of stage 3 just riding around until X number of laps to go.
Well, dude, they're trying stuff, right? Like, NASCAR has done a really nice job. Or like the first couple of years of next gen, Elliot, like, we were just super neglectful to any problems there was. And like, oh, it'll figure itself out. And over the last, 36 months or so, we've done a really nice job of continuing to improve, make tweaks to the format, to the tires, to the racing surfaces. And they've done a really nice job. And like, yeah, like that first stage was a little bit rough. I heard the social media and the IUT family in the Discord chatting about it. But at the same time, like, I at least find like some fun in like the different strategies that go on early in the race there. When you do have different packs racing, it feels like kind of like an older, and even that whole race kind of felt like an old school Talladega race. So I'm here for it. I think tweaks still need to be made. I'm not exactly sure what that is. It's above my pay grade, probably above your pay grade as well. So either way, I think we're heading in the right direction. And I think that race would have been a lot more fun if we hadn't seen the big one as early as we did in that race.
Yeah, I agree. And the guys who are smarter than us that manage and the engineering and everything in the Cup Series saying that they are probably going to work on changes maybe as soon as this season. So they know that the next gen's kind of a problem. They know they don't want the super speedways to always look like this. Definitely everyone who was behind the 77 and the 17, you kind of want, you want the racing to be a little different because you want your guy to try to be able to make a pass. And one of those guys was Erik Jones, who for a long time was second in the bottom lane before he and the 48 get together. 43 ends up getting spun out. Do Toyotas have a problem taking a push to Talladega, mentioning that Jones spin? I don't know if it's Toyota specifically. I mean, we did see two of the later incidents in the race was a Chevy and a Toyota, and then another Chevy and a Toyota. There's just ever so slightly differences between the Chevy, Ford, and Toyota, the noses and the rear ends, to where you have that a little bit. I don't think that it's I feel like it used to be worse with the Chevrolets and the Toyotas, and the Fords kind of had the more flat front bumper, which helped. I think they've adjusted that. The new Chevy body this year, I think, has helped with that. It's definitely not what it used to be. Back when we were running the 2-car tandems, almost 20 years ago at this point, the COT was completely standardized. Chevy, Ford, Toyota, Dodge, you had the same nose. Yeah. You could push like hell wherever. That's not the case now, but not something that's an egregious problem. You shouldn't not bet Toyotas because they can't take pushes as well as the other two. Just one of those racing deals that could happen with any manufacturer, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do agree. I will say there does seem like something of the Toyota spoiler being on front of that Chevy nose seems to get a little loosey-goosey. But then later in the race, Erik Jones was one of the best pushers on the day when we got late into that race, and he was pushing Chevys. He was pushing Ford. So it is interesting, and I think some of that is just maybe we can just chalk it up to some bad circumstances, some bad luck for there. But there definitely does seem like there's something there. But we need – I was talking about – let's get the 2-car tandem back, dude. I don't know. I love the 2-car. I think I'm on a, let me know, chat. Let me know what you think. 2-car tandem. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Because I was a fan, Elliot. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just, some of these unlikely pairings like David Gilliland and Reagan Smith, getting to the front on it. But I always enjoyed the 2-car tandem. That game too, NASCAR 06, what was that, tag team tandem or
total team control? You could swap cars back and forth.
Love that.
That was before the 2-car tandem era, and this is one of those things where it is big time, nostalgia glasses. I appreciate Eric immediately. No way for the tandem.
Come on, Eric.
Because those races, granted, they were through the lens of 2008. I would have been turning 10 years old, and that was tandem running when I was in middle school age kid. Maybe if I go back and watch those races with the lens I currently have, maybe I'll think differently, and I will have to give that a shot. I bet somebody has got that 2009 Aaron's 499 on YouTube where Edward Keselowski had the push at the end. Yeah. I will have to rewatch. That'll be my homework for the week. Is I'll rewatch part of, if not all, of one of those 2-car tandem races, but. I think that's just nostalgia glasses. I do not think that the 2-car was any better.
Okay, all right, yeah. James McMurray and all hard at Talladega. I remember that.
The one thing that it would generally give you is a good finish between two drivers, because you would have the two that were able to get to the front at the right time. You mentioned that one with McMurray and Harvick. I think there was one with Harvick and Boyer, maybe one with Boyer and Jeff Burton, that one with Edwards and Keselowski.
Yeah.
The 4 wide at the line where Jimmy Johnson barely edged out somebody. You did have some good finishes there. But it's almost kind of like the races now, just kind of a different flavor, that most of the race is not super exciting. You get to the end and something neat happens. I don't know that this was a great race. I don't think I voted in the Gluck poll. It may have been a no if I didn't love racing so much, honestly. But a great winner like Hocevar is definitely going to boost things. And at least we had that as an excitement to cap off the week.
I completely agree.
So Hocevar, first-time winner on the Cup side. In the O'Reilly series, Corey Day, man, we knew that first win was coming for him. I would not have guessed Talladega, but he was able to put himself in the right place at the right time, avoid the mess that was going on toward the end, and was the first one to the caution flag. So Corey Day has finally cracked open the account, and I think he's going to be one of those guys you could see 3 or 4 more from him. Definitely a guy who I think is going to be a title contender.
This season, you think 3 or 4 more?
I think it's very possible. I think it's one of those. Obviously, he's got one of the best cars. The first couple of races, really, really, really bad racecraft.
Yeah.
He's screwed the head on his shoulders, right? He's turned off that, what's the phrase? Jojo the circus clown. He's put he's taken the wig off. He's put the clown nose in the box, and he's actually raced really well for a few weeks. So if he can continue to do that, I feel like it's definitely not his last this year.
Yeah, it could be, man. We're seeing him and Brent Cruz specifically too, who's getting his feet under him with more time in the car, really take steps forward. We saw that again there on Saturday, so that was great to see. I'm still waiting for Jesse Love. We got him in the win column, right? We're 11 races in the season, defending champion, no wins for him right now. It's really been all Guyer season. Then you're seeing, these first time winners. The Sawallish is kind of coming out of nowhere. The Corey Days, who are continuing to prove themselves. But don't look now, man. Corey Day right now, 4th in the points, Elliott. So you are seeing him take that step forward. You had Sheldon Creed earlier this season, a first-time winner, and Brent Cruz still P15 despite missing 4 races due to the age handicap there. So it's really, heating up there, but I still think, and maybe you would argue differently, it feels like it's just an Allgaiers championship to lose in the ORS series right now.
Yeah, I would still absolutely agree with you on that. With all these young kids, Cruz is going to make the chase. He could win. He will win this season. Could win as soon as this weekend in Texas. But I think it's just that veteran ability. He's been there. He's done that. Team is on a really good stride right now. It's definitely his title to lose. You're right about RCR. Like Austin Hill's been completely off the map basically all season, and love not being able to get a win yet. Definitely a bit of a championship hangover there. They'll be chase cars too. There'll be guys competing for that title. The pressure's on Allgaier, but at the same time, the pressure's not on Allgaier.
Yeah.
He's already got the title. He's out there having a great time. He's got the best car, the best team, and that'll be a really fun storyline to watch. That season's already a third of the way over, which is insane to think about. But we are at a kind of an inflection point here, and it still is Allgaier's title to lose. I agree. So the other race of the weekend, normally we don't talk a lot of ARCA here, but if you watched any of the ARCA race, you know that race, and especially that finish, is worth talking about because we were about this close to Cletus McFarland, who the big discussion has been, man, he's not good enough.
Wow.
He's struggling. He's doing this and that. The 30 car almost won Talladega, led laps late in the race, was the car, and it was a finish there where you had Cletus, Gustine was down below. 30 car maybe makes a bad block. And Andy Janowiak, another great personality. If you know anything about him, he was almost kind of the Cletus before Cletus. He's able to get his first ARCA win. So still a really great story with Andy J claiming the checkered flag. You guys might remember the quote from a couple of Daytonas ago. I'm going to put my foot on the gas and I'm not lifting until I see God or the checkered flag. Yeah. That was Andy J. So he's a hell of a personality too. Great to see him get the win. And this really shows, man, I mean, it's what we've been talking about with Cletus and ARCA. As much as he wants to go run that RCR car in O'Reilly, and he will again in Nashville in a month's time, go and run some more ARCA races, get some experience because this team, I mean, Kevin Hamlin, I know how good he is because he's the 48 spotter, really did a great job helping coaching Cletus there at the end of the race. I'm not if he's running a couple more of these, I mean, they maybe go to one more super speedway this year. I'm not ruling out a Cletus win this year either. I mean, ARCA is the perfect place for him right now, and they're really firing on all cylinders.
My big takeaway from this race, Elliot, and like the first 4 ARCA races of the season in particular, is that like this might be arguably the best crop of ARCA drivers we've had in a while, right? I mean, of course, you have Geo's going down there and just kind of lapping the field at some races, but you do have the interesting names, the Andy J's, the Garrett Mitchells. Can we give a shout, though, to Isabella Robusto, who goes out there P4 this week? I mean, she was out there leading some laps as well. So she's been a great story. You're seeing, guys like Jack Wood kind of continue to hang around in this series who's been up and down. Ryan Vargas but it's a really exciting group of young drivers, and they're putting it really on full display every time they're out there. So I'm very grateful to, kind of get a first look at this crop that we're going to be talking about, hopefully in the Truck Series and the O'Reilly Series in years to come.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about ARCA is you've got anyone and everyone going down there. Jason and Isaac Kitzmiller running down there. Jake Bowman, I think, is the national points leader at the moment, spun out late in the race there. And then you got your characters, you got your Brayton Lasters and guys like that. And Cletus jumping in there. Squirrel McNutt, too. George Siciliano running pretty well in that 0 car. Got involved in the big one late there. Thomas Annunziata, if I didn't already mention him, a guy who's run some O'Reilly the last couple of years and running down in ARCA in one of the better cars down there. So it really is fun to watch. It's a great little appetizer before we get into these big races, and certainly was this week. And hey, with Cletus, I don't know what's next on his ARCA schedule.
Yeah.
He still hasn't made a live pit stop. There are things like that he's still got to work on, still working on some racecraft. I can think of a really good place. It's a nice big track. It's got 3 turns. It's coming up in about 6 weeks here. They're going to run ARCA on Friday. I don't know if he's willing to make a trip to the Pocono Mountains, but man, Cletus, this is us putting it out there. That ARCA race will be a mighty fine opportunity to hone some craft.
Hey, they'll show you a good time up there in eastern northern Pennsylvania for sure, Garrett. I can promise you that, buddy. But yeah, really looking forward to seeing what they do out there on Friday out at the ARCA race in the Great Tricky Triangle. 6 weeks away. That feels wild. But then the fact that my wedding is the week before that's 5 weeks away. Oh, buckle in, boys. It's going to be a busy summer. Lots of beer drinking, lots of cash, and let's go.
Yeah, man, no doubt about it. Speaking of cash, and I mean, it was an extraordinarily light week for me on the betting card. Wasn't on the show, had a busy weekend for sure. Hit Suarez over Priest, which barely hit at the end because Priest touched on the last lap. And Suarez, who was in the big one, had to put it in reverse, run half the track to get the pit road, ends up beating Priest. So kept me alive in the matchup contest. But because it was a very light week for me, that's all I was really asking for. And you were not shut out on the card either, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, man. So I had a couple outrights. I had Chase Elliott outright. I had a Tyler Reddick outright, and I had a Zane Smith outright. So those were kind of my totes for the weekend. And luckily, all three of them survived the big one, right? But Chase ends up getting a top 10 ticket for me to cash, plus 118 at Kalshi. I appreciated that. We also almost got ready to cash. He finished P14, and I should have taken a Zane Smith top 10. I was high on Zane. He had finished top 10 at both super speedways so far this season. I was like, look, I think he's live to do it again. He absolutely was. I thought, I'll just take the outright instead. I should have laddered him up, so I left a little bit of money on the table there. And Elliot, honestly, I've been licking my wounds a little bit. That's 2 weeks in a row I've been in the red, so I need a big one here to pull it out, and hopefully the great DFW area is just the place.
Yeah, you're not alone, man. I'm also in the red the last couple of weeks. Zane Smith, a guy I absolutely would have bet on had I done my normal show research, betting research, etc. You know, that Zane Smith top Ford was one. I was betting Daytona and Atlanta. That wouldn't have hit, so that would have been my Zane Smith play, so I probably would have lost that too. So I at least appreciate that.
Yeah, hey, you know, any bet you don't place and it doesn't hit, you feel pretty good about it. But the ones like that top 10 Zane Smith that I was looking at around 3.5 to 1 all week, and I don't place it, it hurts the soul a little bit. And you know, I hate betting matchups at super speedways, but I do it for the contest and, you know, keep a little skin in the game. Cole Custer had him over Jesse Love. I was like, man, this is a smash. Custer's been awesome. He was super high in our projections last week. Jesse Love not so much. And then, you know, they both got tore up in that wreck, and Custer just ended up being one of the first people to wreck in that one. So it's a tough scene out there, but hey, back on 1.5 miles, more traditional track this week. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, before we look ahead to Texas, I'll just briefly touch on a couple of news items. You were alluded to Steve O'Donnell being promoted to NASCAR's CEO, Ben Kennedy promoted to Chief Operating Officer, Jim France stepping down from his role as CEO. One of those things that we knew needed to happen after the lawsuit. Steve O'Donnell clearly putting on his brave face, going talking to the media, and clearly these guys running the sport going to be better for the generation to come.
It's what it has to be, right? And I think Ben Kennedy is really going to be a linchpin because he already has been with kind of the differences he's made in the sport already. But I think right now, like, it was time for Jim to go, right? And like I think Steve O'Donnell has done and said all the right things. I mean, he is a younger guy, and even, you know, during that entire process back in the fall, Elliot, when, you know, NASCAR, the whole NASCAR world was pointed in a courtroom in Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't think Steve O'Donnell ever said the wrong things, right? Like it always, like, whether it was intentional or not, he made Jim France look like the bad guy, the stubborn guy who just wouldn't move off of his position. And you know, I think having him exit the sport, this is going to continue to allow us to grow this sport. This is going to continue to allow us to, you know, really relish in the fact that, look, dude, we have a blueprint for success coming up. And I think Steve O'Donnell, Ben Kennedy, they're the guys to lead us back to when we were kids and everyone was talking about NASCAR, because you have moments like last week when Carson Hocevar goes out there, gets his first win, and has that just moment with the fans, man, right? And like that's what we need more of. And the fact that he wasn't jumping down Carson's throat, oh, that's unsafe, and like it just shows like he's already stepping in the right direction. So I love to see it, man, and excited what we can continue to do to improve the sport and continue, like, you know, hey, can we get a little, you know, we've talked about pari-mutuel betting at tracks in the past. Can we get a little bit more of that and take some steps forward there? So it's good news for us as NASCAR bettors. It's good for us as NASCAR content creators, and it's good for us as NASCAR fans first and foremost.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more for sure. Going to be fun to watch. Carson, they're looking for more of those Carson Hocevar moments. Kyle Busch is also looking for more of those Carson Hocevar moments. And by that, I mean wins. A crew chief change there. Jim Pullman, already out, going to take a role inside the RCR competition department. But they're moving back to Andy Street. He's a guy crew chief Austin Hill for forever. Filled in the last couple races of last year with the 8-car when Randall Burdett left early to the Trackhouse with Zilich. And now the Pullman experiment is already over. Just one of those guys, they clearly didn't gel that well. Jim working on the next-gen cars after coming from the O'Reilly series. I'm sure that was part of it as well. And, you know, being Kyle Busch's crew chief, one of the hardest jobs, if not the hardest job in the garage. And now the burden falls back onto Andy Street to see if you can get Kyle Busch running up front more. I mean, this was RCR's first top 10 of the year. the 8 car, finishing in 10th, driving by the 6 cars that wrecked. So still not the best day for the 8 car. They're looking for some really good days there that just haven't been happening this year.
This feels like we did a video a couple years ago about like when Andy Petrie left this team, it was a big sign of where this organization as a whole was heading. And like, sure, they've had their moments. They've all come at Richmond Raceway for the most part, right? You know, you get a couple Kyle Busch. Even like at the end of 2024, Kyle Busch was super competitive. Almost wins the Southern 500. Almost wins the Coke Zero Sugar 600 as well. Like this guy was just running out there and ripping, man. And it's just been like really disappointing to see this. And you know, Rod touched on it a couple weeks ago when we were doing some, hey, are these guys out of it right now? You know, standings updates podcast for that. And like, I think when you get discouraged and you see the speed that you're having, like not even like top 20 speed at some of these intermediate tracks, it's really tough, man. And Andy Street's got I don't envy him. I don't envy the sleepless nights he has. He's probably, you know, sleeping on a couch, waking up, pounding a couple monsters, maybe a couple zins in the upper deck, getting to work there. So I appreciate that.
The sponsor on the 8 car.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Some zones, man. Yeah. Get a little zones. I'm not big. Again, I've tried the zones, the 6 bangers. I was spinning. You gave me that pack after the little promotion they were doing up in Pocono. But yeah, a lot on Andy Street's plate right now. And Jim Pullman, let's see what he can do now a little bit more internally. But it just wasn't a good start. And I don't know about you, Elliot. I'm going to continue to fade Kyle Busch each and every single way, whether that's not to finish in the top 20 type of bets. Maybe that's the one I look at today. Actually, I know you're going to give me a little help for having a pretty light betting card coming to the weekend, but like whether it's like betting the no side of Kyle Busch bets on Kalshi or whether it's just continuing to fade him in matchups, I think it's what you got to do.
Yeah, and I mean, Kyle's talked about it when he was winning races in the first year and a half at RCR. Yeah. They had a little bit of an edge in the next gen. I mean, RCR, they helped build the first next gen car, so they kind of knew their way around it. They got one of those talks from NASCAR after that Gateway win, which was to date Kyle Busch's most recent Cup win, Gateway at 23. Mm-hmm. They had some stuff with that car that NASCAR was like, hey, man, you guys can't bring this back to the racetrack. And since then, been a lot different for RCR. So I guess this year, maybe they just need to give Kyle the Austin Dillon setup and help him run better at Richmond, because otherwise there's really not going to be a lot of chances for Kyle in the Cup Series. Chamberlain bringing up going for 5 straight wins in trucks in Texas. Yep. That's got to date back a little while. I looked at his stats today, 1 in 24, but then maybe dipping back into the prime KBM days. I may or may not be mentioning that because I have a bet against Kyle Busch in trucks that I'll get to. But definitely he'll hope that the truck race can go better for him, because I don't think the Cup race is going to go very well.
Yeah, Eric saying too, yeah, rough for KFB. I don't see a way out.
Well, the nice thing is he's in a contract year at RCR, so there's his way out. Is he goes anywhere else? Just depends on where the musical chairs are going to fall. Still dipping into May, have not really seen any silly season news. Probably going to heat up as the summer does, but a lot of potential open seats next year, and we're not sure where really half the field could end up possibly.
If Kyle Busch ends up in a Spire ride, over under 0.5 wins next season.
I mean, you got to take the over. They have Suarez running pretty well. McDowell's running okay. Hocevar just won. At this point, it's less of does Kyle Busch want to go to Spire, and does Spire have room at the end for Kyle Busch with those 3 guys? That's the other conversation to have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where else. Like where else would you want to go for Kyle Busch? Realistically, right? I mean, obviously, manufacturer doesn't matter that much to him because, I mean, are you the 3rd seat in Legacy? Maybe because we know they want to get it out of 3rd car. So
that would be something.
Anything other than Trackhouse looks like an upgrade at this point, right? Like that's pretty much like where we are. Like not to be disrespectful, but like unless you're going there, a colleague, like you're probably on an upward swing. You don't think this is the end of Kyle Busch in the Cup Series, though, right? Like you still think, because we know eventually he wants to run and split a truck with his younger son. I don't think this is
still only like 11 years old, though.
Right. So I feel like he has some time to run out the clock a little bit, right?
Yeah, and he'll find a home for sure. He's definitely one of the best 36 out there. Like I said, just a matter of how the musical chairs fall. And I mentioned there was no silly season news. There was. Tyler Reddick puts the official extension for him in 2311 Racing. No surprise there. Best team, best driver in the garage so far this year. That was always going to get done.
Bag alert, man. Bag alert for Tyler Reddick. I'd be curious to see
the amount of money that he made himself between February the 1st and now it's going to be
NASCAR, baby.
Probably a good bit. All right, let's go ahead and start taking a look at Texas in the Horizon forecast. taking a look at the entries for the week, like I said, all 3 series down there in the Lone Star State. 38 entries on the Cup side. Chad Fincham, shout out Chad Fincham, leading laps at Talladega. Did he do it by being the only one running full throttle in stage 1? Probably. But leading laps at Talladega, I mean, everyone wants to be Ricky Bobby. Corey Hyman, the 67 as well, one of his races at a place where, again, looking at the 67 in that top 10, top 20 market, maybe not out of the possibility. In the O'Reilly Series, 38 entries there. Zilich is in the 1 this week. Austin Dillon running the 3 for RCR.
Yeah.
That'll be fun to watch. That moves Quapple to the 9 car. Caruth is in the 32 because Kyle Larson is in the 88. Shout out to our guy Brad Perez running in the 42 this week. No number 5 car for Hettinger, and AM Racing is still not back. So for the first time since 1991, there will be no Fords in an O'Reilly Series race. And I didn't even realize the manufacturer disparity in general. No Fords in this race, 6 Toyotas, 33 Chevrolets. So, I mean, we kind of saw it last week at Dega with the manufacturers. If you're in a Chevrolet, you got plenty of friends. If you're in a Toyota, you don't have many.
No, that is certainly the case. And, pour one out, one of the markets that I missed betting was, top Chevy, top Toyota, top Ford, back in the early O'Reilly Series, at that time, Xfinity Series betting markets. But yeah, it's a shame. And, definitely kind of puts you at a disadvantage if you're a Yoder out there ripping. So it's something to keep in mind. I think it more comes into play, I think, at those super speedways than anything else. But it's like, are we going to get to a point where there's 40 Chevys out there ripping? Like it kind of, I mean, Joe Gibbs Racing, you think will always be around, but like, it feels like them and Sam Hunt, that's all they got, right?
That is pretty much all they got.
Yeah.
AGR and 2 from Sam Hunt. Thankfully, though, Ford does continue to support the truck series, which is always great racing. 35 entries over there this week. Brandon Jones in the 1 for Tricon. William Sawalich is in the 5. As we mentioned, Kyle Busch in the 7. Parker Kligerman is in the Ram truck this week, racing the 25. Tony Breitinger still trying to hold on to some semblance of a racing career in the 27. An additional Rackley truck running with Dawson Sutton over there. Chastain is in the 45 for Nice. Carson Hocevar ripping the 77. That black Ride the Dente car that everyone loves so much. They're going to slap that paint job on a truck and run it this weekend. And we are in the midst now. Starting this week, this will be the most consecutive truck races of the year. They are running the next 6 weeks in a row, all the way through Michigan. Unfortunately, they're not going to Pocono this year. That was a lot of fun last year. But for the next 6 weeks preceding into that, we got plenty of trucking. And I'm excited to see how that championship battle and how those wins kind of really start to formulate. Because we said O'Reilly's a third of the way through. It feels like trucks has barely gotten started. And by the end of the 6 weeks, we'll have a much clearer picture on everything about the truck series.
And it's been a weird season, right? Like Corey Heim is not a full-time driver, but he's come down and won a ton of races. Rowdy's out there ripping some race wins off. And like, we're kind of sitting here waiting. If you have season win totals on guys like Lane Riggs, you're kind of sitting here in no man's land. If you got win totals on guys like Brennan Queen, young rookie, we haven't really seen him pop yet. These are the storylines I'm looking forward to seeing as we continue to move through the season. It will be difficult to find those storylines, though, because you do have guys like Carson Hocevar running a ton of races down here. Ross is going to run everything he can. Doesn't matter how good or bad Al Nice's equipment is. KFB back here, as we mentioned at the top of the show, back trying to get 5 straight down there at Texas. And so a lot of interesting storylines. However, I do think sometimes when you see so many, Cup regulars down in this series, it does take away from some of those storylines. And it can make it more difficult to bet as well. Like, I don't, foreshadow, I don't have any truck series bets this week, Elliot. Like, I want to bet KFB. He's out there minus 125. I've seen as low as for a top 3. I've considered investing in him. But it's just really hard right now because like we got some guys on, and we got some guys on heaters, more specifically Carson Hocevar coming down. You hate to fade him. You got guys like Lane Riggs who are, you're going to show up every single week out of that garage. So very difficult series to handicap right now. But one, I think we will learn a lot more, and I'll feel better about getting invested in after this 6-week run.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a lot of Cup guys running. Those Cup guys aren't always winning, though. I mean, Ross, I don't think has won yet. Hocevar has barely been able to finish a race with a clean truck in 77. More mechanical problems than even crashing out. I mean, that's why he couldn't go for the win in Atlanta. Rockingham couldn't even finish the race because the truck was just such a piece of garbage. So it's just a matter of like, are those Cup guys going to actually find something? Corey Heim is not in the race this week. That certainly will give everyone, some relief, because he's not going to go out there and dominate. But we'll see. Like I said, we are going to learn a lot about the truck series over the next couple of weeks. Pretty routine weekend schedule as well. Truck series practice and qualify on Friday at 2:30. Then the O'Reilly series at 5 o'clock. 822 is your green flag for the Truck Series, speedycash.com 250. FS1 for the broadcast, stage lengths of 40, 40, and 87. Saturday, Cup P and Q 1230. 338 your green flag in the O'Reilly Series for the Andy's Frozen Custard 340. Nice little snack for a hot weekend there in Texas. 45, 45, and 110 stage lengths. Sunday, 343 Eastern, your green flag for the Würth 400. FS1 for the next few weeks on Cup before we head back to Prime. 80, 85, and 102 your stage lengths there. I love a good Friday truck night in America. Going to be a great start to the weekend. And then you get a little late afternoon races. Everything you could want from Texas, and just hopefully the racing is as good as it has been the last couple of years.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same for everyone else out there in the IBT family, but this is one of those weekends too. Like, I'm coming off a couple gainers, like no sleep for the wicked, no rest for the wicked out here. So, and not great weather, right? Like I've been out there, no shirt, ripping some disc golf on Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon. That won't be the case because it's a little chilly up here right now, Elliot, a little bit nipply. So I'll be having my butt in front of the TV, I think, a lot this weekend, specifically with these great races happening down there in Texas.
Yeah, should be a good weekend down there. It's interesting that we mentioned Texas is hard to handicap because when you look at the track breakdown, it is 1.5 mile intermediate track there. And one of those old school cookie cutters, Charlotte, Kansas, Las Vegas, the primary comps. You can also throw in Michigan, maybe Chicagoland, maybe Homestead as well. How do you look at those comps? Any others you want to throw in there as well?
No, I think that those are the exact right comps. Specifically, I think where we can gain our biggest advantages, we have 2026 data for both Las Vegas and most recently Kansas, right? So I really did weigh those races heavily, Elliot, in some of my handicapping today. Like, I love Michigan. Homestead's at secondary comp, so I'm not weighing it as heavy, but I think we got the right ones. Specifically, though, Charlotte, Kansas, Las Vegas, that is really where I am looking deeply at. But really those ones that we've seen in 2026.
Yeah, and I think with Chicagoland, that track is just as similar as Charlotte, Kansas, and Vegas, but we haven't run anything there since 2019. If we were coming to Texas after Chicago, I think it'd be a great primary comp, but we haven't done anything with the next gen there. Just wanted to shout out some of the comments that we got going on. Cole, I think Busch and RCR is like a failing marriage. They sleep in separate rooms. They're staying together because neither can do better. There's no other way to put it. That situation is odd to me. No open seats, and honestly, even if there was, how many years does he have left? So the nice thing is about this is Kyle Busch is in a contract year at RCR, and I mean you can cross Reddick off the list, but I think last I checked there could be as many as 15 to 20 guys in contract years. I mean the 48 could be up. Christopher Bell, I think in his last year at Gibbs. You have a lot of those mid-tier teams that generally go year by year on some of their contracts.
Yep.
Eric Larson mentioning even with Spire, how can one feel that KB is just going to outrun McDowell or Suarez? Spire better than RCR, but it's not like they're just killing it. It'll be real interesting to watch for sure.
I'll tell you what, Eric, I got to push back. I really do think, like, I know Kyle Busch has not been looking like Kyle Busch out there, but like that, I have to think that's equipment based, dude, because a couple of years ago when this guy still had decent equipment, he was ripping hard. Even when he got to RCR, had 3 wins his first year there. So like, I do think he would out. I mean, is Suarez on a 1-year deal? Is that correct?
Suarez is just a 1 year. McDowell, I'm not certain. That's the thing is some of these are publicized, some of these are not.
I think McNasty's multi-year yet.
Well, McDowell, I mean, is this his 3rd year with Spire? Or
second year. Yep.
Okay. So I don't know if that was more than a 2-year deal. Eric mentioning Bell in his last year. That's tantalizing. A lot of those guys with the big teams. I mean, we saw Larson, I think, a couple of months ago. He was technically in his last year, but of course, Hendrick re-signed him. It'd be shocking to see Bell go anywhere else, but just one of those things where you gotta, dot your I's and cross your T's.
Yeah, 1 year for Suarez too. Like, dude, he would outrun Suarez, and he would I think if you put him in a Spire car right now, and like they have similar speed to what Hocevar are, Kyle Busch is in that top 10 mix every single week. He's back to being bettable. But right now, like, let's just take advantage, I guess, and continue to fade him.
Yeah, that's what you got to keep doing for sure. Some specifics about Texas. They're running a new tire compound this weekend. Not brand new, but just new for Texas. They ran the same thing at Vegas, Kansas, and Darlington. And there was not anything really crazy with the tires there, so not expecting anything ridiculous this weekend.
No, not really. Like, again, the tires – especially this season, Elliot, they're not taking as big of swings as they did in 2024 and 2025. So it's something we really can't handicap. Again, though, like we were looking at those tracks of Vegas and Kansas very specifically this week. So it's just more reason to pull from that, those tracks in those races.
Before we get to a silly trend that came out on Door Bumper Clear this week, Chamberlain mentioning with the weather, Friday might be a wash. Bob said the trucks would go in the morning Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So a little Saturday morning race will be nice, but I love a good night race as well. And then jumping back to Eric toward the beginning of the show, regarding Texas, do you think the caution fest continues 3 races in a row with 11 plus cautions? I think in the next gen era, no track has had more cautions on average than Texas. It's just one of those deals where race is a little different. It's a little harder to handicap, and just a little sprinkle of that good old Texas fuckery just makes it one of those places, man.
Yeah, dude, some of those turns are super sketchy, right? Like this is one of the, and it's what's made this track fun, Elliot, because let's just remove the betting handicap of it all, right? Like as a fan, I want my NASCAR drivers, specifically in the Cup Series, to be on edge all the time. Like I want them this to be a hard car to handle. And it's usually not a lot of places. So Texas is one of those. And that is why I'm lighter this week. And I think as a bettor, that's something you need to keep in mind. I don't know if we'll see 11 cautions, Eric, but I think we're going to see a dang bunch of them. Honestly, if I said, Elliot, over under 6.5 cautions, are you taking the over?
Yeah, especially because you got 2 guaranteed.
Okay, 7.5.
But probably from what we've seen. And it's just one of those, you kind of had that situation last year, right at the beginning of stage 3, just hard racing at the front of the field. About, you're through the stages, you're finally starting to open it up. Bubba Wallace makes a silly block, takes out 5 or 6 cars, some of them really good cars, as I'll talk about later. You just have, I think part of it is they're racing a little more on edge. Next gen car definitely seems like it's the easiest car of all time to drive in NASCAR. In my opinion, there's definitely guys who, if we were still in the Gen 6, would not be nearly as good as they are in the Gen 7. But that's neither here nor there. But it is definitely a mix of it's a little harder to handle here with the setups. Just the track runs just different enough. Surface getting a little worn out and all that stuff to where, again, just a little dash. It just all adds up to some Texas fuckery that you have those kind of deals happen. Whether it's, maybe the new tire compound helps too. I don't know if some of those were, tire issues. I'll have to go back and look at, what was every caution for. Probably have some late race battles going on that maybe guys push it a little too far that end up, pushing into overtime and things like that.
Yeah.
The thing that may help, though, is a lot of the times in the past, we saw it last year when Logano and McDowell fought for the win, where McDowell, knowing that he needed to win to make the playoffs, that was his, you run up front, you get the opportunity, you have to take it. Ran Logano like crazy, blocked him all the way down to the apron of the backstretch, and then ends up crashing it, a lap and a half later because he was going for that win. Maybe, and we've seen this too, where this year, I think it's the lowest number of cautions that we've had in a season in 10 or some years. Maybe not going all out for wins could help, because you are better set up to take the good points day, when before you didn't want third if you didn't run third. You had to go for the win.
No, that's absolutely true. And I think that's we don't want cautions as a bettor, right? We want it to stay green. So honestly, if anything, it's made our disposition a little bit easier to get invested with various drivers. And the cream of the crop is rising pretty much every single week, right? There's not a ton of surprise, and the surprise winners are guys that we all said at the beginning of the season. You were on the Carson Hocevar winning. What did you say? A win in the first 10 races, and maybe he got in the 11th. It was.
No, I think I said in the first 5, but I did take this over for the season, which I neglected to mention. Already crossing off another one, and I really enjoy that because I took the over on both Gibbs and Hocevar.
Yeah,
scared shitless that neither of them were going to come close, and they both have already won.
Let's go.
Yet, so that's a good start to my season-long card.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is, and so that's why these aren't huge X factor. They're still got Hocevar's been a top 10 car pretty much the last month and a half. Same with Ty Gibbs.
Top 10 in points.
Same with Ty Gibbs, right? So it's these aren't the people who are winning races should be the ones winning races, and that for us as gamblers is good. Looks like we have a couple comments here as well. I want to get to Chamberlain. Bowman had a hot rod last year until he got taken out. Elliot, you definitely know.
Trust. I will talk about this. I appreciate acknowledging that, Chamberlain.
And then also Hunter saying, "What's up, guys? Looking forward to trucks again. Great to see you, Hunter. Thanks so much for checking us out as always." And great thought on potentially being cautious on the approach this week, Elliot. So I like that. And guys, real quick reminder, we got about 12 people here live with us on YouTube. And do us a real quick favor. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. That helps get more out in the algorithm, bring us in potential new viewers like yourself. So we'd really appreciate that. And make sure to subscribe right here to the IBT full channel and the Backroad sub channel. That is youtube.com/@the_Backroad, where we have a lot of bonus content coming your way. definitely got to get a couple bonus episodes out here in May because we know we'll have a ton out there in June for Pocono and stuff like that, but want to get that back up revving. So Elliot, let's go back to the trends now as well and get to the bets here in just a little while.
Yep, the one silly trend I want to bring up, if you listen to Noah Gragson and Chase Briscoe on Door Bumper Clear this week, they brought up that the waxing crescent moon phase supposedly gives the track more grip. I don't know if you heard this or have any belief in this, Seth, but I mean, Noah was calling a couple different drivers who were at least in on the bit if it's not real, but one of those silly things that maybe it will give the track a little more grip and could affect the way the race goes as well. But even if it's just a bit, it's worth chuckling about here for a second.
It makes me happy, man. Like, even if that is like, obviously I don't think that is the case, but if that is the case, it's better for us as gamblers. So yeah, no, I appreciate Noah and Briscoe with the analysis on that one.
Dirty Mo's even selling t-shirts now, like the old Mac Tonight Moon guy. So
are they really? No doubt.
Yeah, it'll be fun to look at. All right, so into the trends here. This will be the 5th next-gen points race. Remember, the All-Star race was here in 2022, and I've included none of that data in these trends. The winner's average starting position in the next gen, 18.25. You've had the winners start 4th, 18th, 24th, and 27th. Your pole winner's average finish, 14th. So you had 8th and 3rd, and then the last two, 21st and 24th. So the last 2 years definitely had some of that Texas fuckery where your winners started in the 20s and your pole winner finished in the 20s. You really don't see that happen very often.
Certainly don't.
The average starting position leaders here for their careers, Ty Gibbs, the top at 7th, Blaney 10.6, Hocevar and Byron tied for a 12th place average starting position, and Hamlin is at 12.5. You look at the active pole winners, Brad Keselowski has won it twice, one in the next gen, one not. Hocevar, Larson, Bubba Wallace, all with next gen poles here. Blaney, Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch all won a pole in older cars. Active winners, I'm going to split it the same. Logano has one each, of course, last year's winner, and then one, I believe, 10 years before that. Chase Elliott, William Byron, Tyler Reddick all have next-gen victories here. Kyle Larson, Austin Dillon have old car wins. Denny Hamlin won 3 times in previous gen cars, and Kyle Busch with 4 wins, all with JGR. The last 2 years since Texas has moved to the spring race, your average finish leader is there. I don't know why they had to cut it to 2 years, but I guess the weather's a little different and the situation is a little different. This was a playoff race and ran in September in the first couple of years of the next gen. So once it's moved out of the playoffs, I guess you will have guys race a little different. So I talked myself into why that trend is put that way. Logano has an average finish of P6. Suarez and Austin Dillon, 7.5. Some really good runs for those guys on average here the last couple of years. William Byron averaging an 8th place finish. Chase Elliott, 8.5. Erik Jones averaging a 12th place finish the last 2 years. Larson and Reddick even at 12.5. We've had 45 total races at Texas, 5 wins from the pole, 8 from the front row. You have 53% winning from the top 5 and 73% from the top 10, but also 8 wins from outside the top 20. So same amount of wins from the front row as from outside the top 20. A little bit of that Texas fuckery. You got to love it. 8 overtimes here, including each of the last 2 seasons. So be on the lookout for that. And in terms of the model, again, Chris does a great job with this model over here, pulling data from some of these sites that I'm mentioning. iFantasy Race, also a great collaborator in there. You can get full access to the model each and every week in the paid tier of our IBT Racing family. Free to join the conversation with us and enter memorabilia giveaways. But to get access to the model, get our full betting cards each and every week and enter that head-to-head matchups contest that we'll talk about at the end of the show. That's how you do that. Trio of A drivers this week, Kyle Larson, 89% leading the way. Maybe a little low for an A number, which again shows some of the vulnerability and the variety you get at Texas.
I mean, and even Kyle Larson's finishes here, Elliot, they're not good. They are not good at all. But this is just kind of like the way it's gone here for me. You look at his average running position, you look at his total speed rankings, awesome. You look at his finishes, 9th, 31st, 21st, 4th. It is so hard to bet some of these favorites this week because of this. And yeah, I'm with you. Like, it's the usual suspects up top, right? It is Larson, it's Byron, it's Reddick. But then even the second tier of driver, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell, they're in the 70s, right? Like it is a big gap between them and this top tier. And even them, like, you look at them, not super, like, Daniel Suarez might be the most consistent guy we've seen at Texas in the next gen, right? I mean, it has been absolutely crazy. I guess he is right behind William Byron for second and average finish when I'm looking at it a little bit closer, but it is a really, really weird track. And I remember even in 2024, I had a long gainer, 25-1 on Ross Chastain to win. And if you remember that race in particular, Byron kind of wrecked him late in that. I mean, that was 2023. That might have been 2023 actually. But either way, like there is some battles that can happen here. And unfortunately, we know what happens with battles. Sometimes you end up with scars.
Yep. Yeah, I remember what you're talking about. That was 24. Chase Elliott got the win, and Byron turns Chastain right at the last minute there.
Yeah.
But either way, not good for the bets. Doesn't matter what year it is. You're betting on getting wrecked does not help. All right, one more thing before we get to the bets, and that's the iFantasyRace.com asterisk mark driver of the week, Seth.
Yeah, shout out to Ryan and all the good work they're doing over there at iFantasyRace.com, including the asterisk mark report, where it tells us Carson Hocevar, top 10 performer last year at Texas, but he finished with a misleading 24th. We heard someone put that in the chat earlier today, but in that race, Hocevar was on point. He got the pole, led 22 laps, finished 6th in the opening 2 stages, was running 6 on lap 217. And then just after that, he pitted and was burned by a caution during the pit cycle. So no fault to his own, no fault to his pit crew even. Just kind of, that drops him in mid-pack, was no longer in contention after that, and then got caught up in a multi-lap wreck on lap 236. So despite the problems, Hocevar, third best average running position, 9.2, which is a really low average running position, I will say, for being third, and then ranked 5th in total speed ranking. So Hocevar, great chance to stay hot for him. The betting markets, though, they're not going to let people cash in another week on Hocevar. They've come to note that he's back to play. Right about the same time, this is when he got hot last year, if you remember as well. May was a great month for Carson Hocevar, so only going to put an overdrive now that he is locked inside that top 10 in the NASCAR Cup Series standings.
Yeah, the eyes of the sport are definitely going to be on him, and the eyes of the books are on him too, putting him at kind of unbettable numbers for this week. Not a lot of Hocevar talk left to come as we get into this week's Parking Garage props.
Let's fire it up.
In terms of the impressions of the books, I mean, we talked about it with Hocevar. Some of the numbers aren't that great out there, but man, you really are buying into most of your card coming after practice and qualifying because, man, we could barely get you to get top 20s on the board in the Cup Series. I'm definitely doing a lot of the heavy lifting on the Cup side this week, man. Just one of those that you're anticipating Texas fuckery. You didn't like the numbers. What's kind of behind that, man?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, right? Like, usually, if I'm going to place an outright pre-flop, I want to have a good idea of 3 to 4 drivers that I think can win this. Elliot, I think there's 10 drivers who can win this race, if not more. Like this is, yes, we are going to more of a cookie cutter track compared to what we were just on down at Dega. Still, though, there are a ton of outs for this win. So I just really want to be, cautious, and I really want to learn a lot on Saturday. And that's really what the play is. Like, I like guys like William Byron out there. He's had some really good runs here. The numbers aren't great. Like, I almost, drank the juice on a little minus 150 top 10 just to feel something with them. But I couldn't. And that's just really where it comes from. I think there are avenues, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you have on the card, because I think there are some values out there that you've particularly found. So I'm excited to dive into that. I'm excited to hear from the IBT family. Like, again, light betting card for me, but I will say the bets I have, Elliot, as you know, I'm a full gainer, full sender unit. I usually, and honestly, part of this is too, like, I've had too big of betting cards out there the last couple weeks too that like haven't able me to really cash in on some profits. So I'm just kind of trying to narrow this up a little bit, find the bets I really like, and then I know on Sunday my friends over at Bet Rivers, over at DraftKings, they're going to give me some boosts I can get invested with.
Yeah, that really doesn't hurt either. And man, I don't blame you, but that's the fun thing about this show is that's the strategy you have. Meanwhile, I've already got sprinkles on, I think, 6 outrights. I've got a lot of placement props out there. And for better or worse, man, I'm dumb enough to throw out some bets before P&Q, if nothing else, just to make sure that this show has lots of great content. So, hey, I'm excited to learn your opinion on some of these drivers that I have bets on too, because a lot of these guys we haven't touched on a whole lot tonight. And it starts with a guy who I don't think we've mentioned his name at all tonight, which is surprising as deep as we're in. But my first outright bet of the week is on Denny Hamlin, plus 525 over at BetMGM, hovering right around 5 to 1, 5.5 to 1, along with some of the other favorites like Larson. But at this moment in time, man, it is Toyota's world, and we're all just living in it. Betting Denny Hamlin each and every week, it kind of gets old. But when he doesn't have weeks like last week where has a speeding penalty right away, doesn't get all the way back to the lead lap, I think, until right at the very end of the race. So not the week Hamlin won it at Talladega, but he knows don't make that mistake next time, and you'll be at the front where you're supposed to be. Last year, this was kind of in the midst of where he had really good cars, but really bad mechanical problems. Last year, lost an engine here with a good car. That was 2 weeks after his transmission ended up busting out at the Kansas race when he had a shot to win there. You look at what he's done on the comp tracks this season. Won at Las Vegas, should have won Kansas.
Yeah.
Ends up P4, led a ton of laps at both of those races. Denny Hamlin is already at 603 laps led this year. And I mean, granted, like 290 of that was Martinsville, but 600 laps led is nothing to sneeze at for sure. You look here, all-time stats, as I mentioned in the trends, 3 victories, as well as 2 top 10s in the next gen. Like you said, there could be 10 guys who could win this race, but Denny Hamlin, I'm throwing at the top of that list.
I totally get it. And I totally understand where you're coming from. I specifically like what he's done at the comps, right? That was the one thing for Hamlin when I was like, I kind of want to get invested with him. That was what was leading me there. You look at average starting position at comp tracks 2025 to 2026, he is second. You look at average finish at comp tracks from 2025 to 2026, he is first, Elliot, and convincingly first. And then you can just go and look at what he's done at Texas. He's had speed. I ain't saying he hasn't. Look, you look at driver rating and average running position, he's right up there in the top 6. However, I don't know what it is, man. He's just been snake bit. He is third to last when it comes to average finish at Texas in the past 3 seasons. Could he get that monkey off his back? Absolutely. But sometimes Denny Hamlin can get his own head a little bit. So he's someone I want to see. And he has been telling Elliot when he is unloaded fast on Saturday, he will tell us, he will tell the media, and that is when you go bet him. So he is someone, if Bet Rivers want to throw me out a little 25% boost on Sunday, if our friends over there at DraftKings want to throw me a little 20% boost on anything longer than 3-1, Denny Hamlin, I think I can get him back up. Maybe not plus 525, but I think at least get him up in that high 4 ranges, which is where I need to bet him currently.
Yeah, and that's the tough part, is if he does end up having a lightning fast car, 4-1, 3.5-1 is kind of where you're going to find him Sunday morning. But like you said, thankfully the books are nice to us sometimes, and they give us some boosts. BetMGM has been the nicest book to me this year with boosts, and I threw that on a Tyler Reddick outright. Took it from, I think it was 6-1, boosted it up to plus 750 over on BetMGM. He really has been the rock star this season, and it's showing on the floor right now. It's a great boost to have on, not even arguably, he's the best car out there right now. There's no topping it. When you look at last year, P2 in both of the stages kind of faded toward the end. P4 here in 2024, and he won this race in the fall of 2022. And in terms of how his season's gone, I don't really have to tell you guys that much. We've raced 10 times. Tyler Reddick has won 5 times. They are firing on all cylinders right now, to say the least. MJ's having the time of his life. Reddick is having the time of his life. That dude just got a fuckload more money in his pocket with that contract extension over there. This 45 has come to play. 2311 as a whole has come to play, but specifically this 45, and it's one of those tracks, man. Like I said, Toyota's world, and we're just living in it. I've got a couple sprinkles, a couple positional prop bets on Chevrolets and Fords. In terms of winning this race, it's a Toyota, or it's maybe Larson, but it's probably a Toyota, the 11 and the 45, just like they were at Kansas and like they were at Vegas to an extent. I mean, Reddick wasn't quite as far up front, but it's going to be those guys that are fighting for the win, unless they make some dumb mistake or have some dumb mechanical problem, which if you bet on that every week, you couldn't bet on anybody,
And that's exactly it, right? I think that is what it's going to come down to. And like for me, I love Tyler Reddick when it's a hot, slick track that you can go up there and grind the wall, right? What's it going to be? Looks like, but by the time we go racing, you're looking at high 80 or low 80 degrees down there in Fort Worth, a little bit humid out there as well. So like for me, it is another, like Tyler Reddick's another guy I want to be invested with, Elliot. He's too far juiced to get in the top 10 market for me. I don't love the top 5 market for him either. Those numbers I'm getting. If I could find a top Toyota on Tyler Reddick, I think that is where I'd be willing to go, because I do have him rated higher above these other guys. Like Hamlin would be the one you're kind of worried about, right? Bubba kind of in that mix as well, just having that same 2311 speed. But you look at some of these advanced metrics, specifically in the next gen era, driver rating at the comp tracks for Tyler Reddick in 2025 and 2026, he is third. You look at average running position at Texas, he is second in the next gen era. You look at driver rating at Texas in the next gen era, he is second. So most of these advanced metrics, average qualifying at comps, he is right up there in number 3. You look at a lot of these, and Tyler Reddick is just up there, man. So like it's hard. Like I'm not fading him. I've just had kind of bad. I've been on Tyler Reddick for 2 outrights this season. It's 2 of the races he hasn't won. So I'm just kind of waiting to get back in his good graces and find a way to get invested. Maybe that is that top Toyota market. Maybe that's trying to find a boost on a top 5 to get a better number on it. But I do agree Tyler Reddick should be on your card in some way. I just don't know how I feel about it. Again, though, getting a boost out there from BetMGM, you getting him, plus 750, that doesn't feel bad when the best I found out there right now, to us peasants that don't, aren't in the good graces of BetMGM is 6-1.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This was not really on my radar at a 6-1. Even as low as plus 550. Some books getting it up to the plus 750. I like it a whole lot. Initially, I was leaning positional props because I like Hamlin, because I think eventually Larson is going to get the monkey off of his back and go out there and dominate a race. But Reddick at a plus 750, and he's almost kind of the guy who I don't think he's going to start outside the top 10 in this race. But if the qualifying lap isn't perfect, he starts 8th or 9th. You might be able to get him closer to a 7-1 Sunday morning. I mean, that'd be pretty long, but maybe at least a boost to a plus 650 to where you're not far enough off this number to warrant betting it without all the risk of doing it before the cars unload on track.
Yeah, certainly there with you.
I want to throw out Stan's comment here. Going with the chalk this week, Ty Dillon, lock it in.
Actually, Ty Dillon is one of the few I was looking at the top 20 market. He's had a top 20 in every single next gen race at Texas, Elliott. It's wild, but but you look at what he's done at the comp tracks this season. He's 30th plus at both Vegas and Kansas. So I don't really think we can bet Ty Dillon, but I appreciate the note because trust me, I was sniffing around. Is there any Ty Dillon? Even if Ty Dillon pops up Sunday morning, let us know in the IBT Racing family. I will certainly be on a head on a swivel for, because Ty Dillon is someone I was trying to bet for this race, Elliott. I just couldn't get him for a top 20. Maybe one day our friend Kalshi will release a top 30 market and we can go there with him.
It's crazy. Top 30. Cody wearing no every week. But that's what I love about this show. What I love about you, Seth, is Stan throws out the most joke of a driver to throw out there, and Seth's like, "Oh man, I thought about that top 20 on him, bud."
Dude, okay, let's just talk about Ty Dillon right now. His average finish in the next gen era at Texas, 15.75. That is the 11th best among the field right now. 16th, 19th, 16th, 12th. Ty Dillon has been a rocket here. So Stan, I like the cut of your jib, Stan. I like the way you're thinking, buddy.
Turning back to Reddick though, as Cole making the other point, taking an outright on Reddick now may be the move, because if he does pole it and has a good look in practice, the books are going to know he's won half the races, and could be 3-1, and even 3-1 might be a little generous. He goes out there, wins the pole. You could be looking even worse than that. All right, those are my selected outrights for the week. Moving into positional props, we'll get to you eventually, set there with the top 20s, but I got some top 5s and top 10s. Starting with Chase Elliott, plus 260 on Bet365. Like I said, good place for him in recent years. Broke his winless streak here in 2024. Has led laps in 3 of the last 4 here at Texas. And I kind of think Chase might be the best Hendrick car this week. I mean, Larson, we don't know where he's coming from. I'll talk a little bit more about the 24 and 48 here shortly. But, P4 in the model for Chase, ran 2nd at Vegas, 8th at Kansas in terms of the recent comps. He's already got a win off his back this year. And if you are going to have a Chevrolet run up front, I'm kind of liking Chase Elliott this week.
Average finish at comps has been outstanding, Elliott. 2025, 2026, he right now is 3rd in this field. He's 4th overall in the projections. Momentum average finish the last 6 races of 2026. He is also 3rd. This is a guy, I have him on my betting card. I'll have a bet with him later on. Driver rating at Texas in the next gen era, he is top 3. He's not going to run up towards the front most of the day, right? He might have to have a pit crew strategy. I mean, he'll run top 10, but you look at average running position at Texas, that's 9th. So he's a top 10 car for me. I would prefer better to drink that juice on the top 10 number. I've seen him floating around anywhere from minus 125 to minus 110. That is the way I'd get invested with. But my father-in-law is in town. He's a big Chase Elliott fan. We were just talking about him earlier today. He said, "Hey, better have a bet on Chase Elliott." I said, "Don't you worry, Willard. I got one locked and loaded for you."
Hey, and I got one too. I agree, top 5 maybe a little much, but you don't normally see the thing, even if Toyota dominates this race, say Hamlin and Reddick are 5 seconds up in the last 10 laps. It's not going to be all Toyotas behind him. You are going to have some of those Chevrolets, maybe even a Ford mix in. And I think Chase Elliott's going to be one of those guys that can run up there.
Does it not feel like it to me? It feels like it's a Hamlin Reddick week, or like after that, give me all 3 Hendrick guys after. Like those are the 5 drivers that I could see really winning this race. I think you factor in Bubba. I think you factor in Chris Bell. The Bushwhackers had some speed here too. But it feels like those are the guys I'm really betting on. So Hendrick, I actually thought about laying down like just Hendrick to win in general, and that's something I still might, or just Chevy. But I am very high on this garage as a whole, it's just like, who's going to be the guy, right? But Chase Elliott definitely shown a lot of speed, and he's been better than William Byron so far this season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. A fading Byron in a little bit here, but a couple of more placement props. First off, Joey Logano, guy who won the race last year, top 10 at plus 120 over on Bet365. Again, this is one of those weeks, Bet365, far and away the best positional prop numbers, especially on this, top third tier, top 5 and 10s of race cars. Best average finish, like I said, in that pair of Texas spring races, including winning it last year. P11 and 24, second place here in 2022. Overall here, 2 wins, 13 top 5, 16 top 10s, which is 53% of the time. Logano is going to run top 10 here. Coin flip, I like a plus 120 for sure. It's been an up and down season, but even without the best mile and a half speed, this could be a place to turn it around. With Penske, cannot ignore how bad Kansas was. Logano ran like complete garbage all day. Ryan Blaney was not good for him either. But I'm putting a sprinkle on this bet, not only because I feel like that discount tire 22 could be real fast. I remember Keselowski winning some nationwide series championships back then. Weird to see discount tire on the 22 in the Cup Series. But more so, it's the fact that every time this year that I've tried to fade the hell out of Joey Logano, he's come back and it's bit me in the rear end, and he's run really well. So Texas, again, the fact that it's very comparable to your Kansases and your Vegases, where it wasn't the best day for the 22, but it's just different enough. And Logano's just got that knack here. Top 10, I feel like not nearly out of the question at this number.
I want nothing to do with Joey this week, if I'm being honest with you, Elliot.
That's how bad Kansas was. I know.
Well, and I was the guy who came back right the next week, and I slammed him for 5 units for the top 10 at Martinsville, right? Like, that was one of the easiest bets of the season for me, if not the biggest and most profitable bet that I've made. The issue is like the momentum average finish last 6 races, bottom 15 in the track. And like, yeah, the average finishes are good at Texas. Like, hell yeah, I agree with you there. Loop data at Texas in the next gen era, he is 6th to last, Elliot. Like he's not at, like, some of these races, he's just been kind of getting lucky, right? Driver rating at Texas in particular, he's outside or right on that top 10 line. You look at average running position at Texas, he's outside the top 10. So for me, like, it's a fine number. I'm going nowhere on Joey Logano. It is complete fade for me. If you play him in DFS against me, I hope you do. If you bet him, I hope you don't.
Yeah, man, I understand. But, Logano in Texas, he won it last year, but I do agree. I don't think that 22 was nearly the best car. I'm going to bring back up Chamberlain's comment from a few minutes ago. Last year, Bowman had a hot rod until he got taken out, which leads to my next bet. Alex Bowman's top 10 plus 280 on Bet365. Yeah. And call me a homer. I still got to find those purple glasses to throw on. His outright at Caesars was 60-1. I threw a sprinkle on it. 40-1, 50-1 in other books. A Hendrick car 60-1 should never happen. Let's start there. But last year, he was not even in the Asterisk mark report, which, maybe it was, one of the lower drivers there. But this was an Asterisk mark finish last year for Alex Bowman. Started near the back of the pack. Within the, definitely by the end of the first stage, within the first 40 laps, it's impossible to pass in the next gen at Texas. Ran from the mid-20s into the top 10 almost immediately. Makes it up to P3 by the end of stage 2. The former pit crew that they had in that 48 car, really bad stop, drops him back to about 13th. That Bubba Wallace crash I was talking about, 48 ends up taken out in that, with a car that I firmly believe, if not winning that race, the 48 car was going to contend for the win of that race. That car was unbelievably fast, and they weren't able to find that speed really at any other mile and a half. Last year, they had a really solid couple of weeks there. Charlotte didn't go so well. It took them a while to really get their mojo back in the summertime. Of course, the playoffs didn't go off on. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. And I understand the Texas numbers are not great either.
Terrible.
Because there's so many incidents. You have this year. He got involved in a crash in 24. 2022 got that concussion that knocked him out of the playoffs that year, crashing here, blowing a tire at Texas. The only next-gen race without an issue, though, ran 12th. That's not half bad. Had a pair of P5s here in previous gens, including, if you remember 2020, late in the year, round of 8, we raced here on a Wednesday because it was just fog and everything like that. Bowman ran 5th in that race and led 43 laps. Remember it vividly. I was driving from the Pittsburgh area to Memphis the next morning. Didn't matter. I was watching that race, the 88 car at the time, out front, and that would have put him in the championship for that year. But let's not relive old memories here. Let's focus again on the bet. It's this number also that makes it really easy to play. The outright being a little lower, didn't want it there, but the 60-1 and I've seen this as low plus 150 to plus 200, plus 280, bet 365, and giving me a good number. It's a number play into driver play here on the 48.
It is a fine number. It's one I looked at as well. I also looked at him potentially for a top 20. And like he doesn't have all the data here, but average qualifying position at comps tracks this season, third to last. Like again, I don't think he raced one of those races, so that didn't help him.
Yeah, so Vegas, he didn't run. In Kansas, was flirting around the top 10. I think they ended up 17th or something. Some rough adjustments in stage.
Yeah. So like I'm fine at it, but just like in general, I just it's one even like you look at average running position at Texas, like in the next gen era. He's like right there, almost outside the top 20. Like I think he comes in 21st in the projections, and like that, like I think he's an 18th to 19th place car. So I think you're a little high on him. But the number, like a year ago, we're not getting an Alex Bowman top 10 at plus 150, let alone plus 280. So if you have to take advantage now before the market corrects itself, you just have to have a little bit of nut sack on the table type of energy to do it.
And hey, I got a rear bumper behind me to have faith in 48.
Nutsack on the rear bumper, baby.
At a 2-1, I'm probably not betting it, but at a 280, I agree with Eric.
Yeah.
I like it there. And Chamberlain, top 3 ride for sure on the long run. I appreciate that somebody else at least remembers this, and I'm not just a big 48 homer. Good. Another long shot top 10 here that I really like. Erik Jones, talked about him a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
460 on FanDuel. This was one of those weeks where FanDuel in those mid-tier, 18th to 25th place drivers, they had really good numbers for whatever reason. And a plus 460 for Jones. It's sneakily one of his better tracks. I mean, P5 last year, ran 6th in 2022. You go back to his time with JGR, had 3 4th place finishes in a row, which was kind of fun. And then 5 top 10s total. He had top 10s at Phoenix and Darlington this year, and has finished 23rd the last 3 weeks, though. So legacy, not a perfect start to the year, but at a plus 460 at a track he's good at a track where he's top 10 in the model as well.
Yeah.
Slotting in right at 10th. Those 13 spots of improvement from the last 3 weeks at a plus 460. I like investing that on this 43 this week.
I'm going to be honest. I think this will be something I add to the card. 5-1 right now out on DraftKings as well.
Wow,
Total speed rankings at Texas in the next gen era. Erik Jones, second, Elliott. You look at average running position at Texas in the next gen era. Erik Jones is top 10. Like this is actually a really good bet. I looked at Erik Jones for a top 20 as well, but he just hasn't been fast at the comps this season. And that's kind of what you're eating, right? Erik Jones, whether it's Pocono, whether it's Darlington, or whether it's Texas, this is a guy who at his tracks, he is just in his bag. So yeah, this is actually probably my favorite play. 6-1 at Bovada as well. We're seeing from Erik. So
that's even better, man.
Yeah. So this will be actually the one I add to my card. Great, just sniffing this out, Elliott. He's someone I wanted to invest with, particularly from a DFS standpoint. But if we're getting this long of a number on Erik Jones, it feels kind of akin to the legacy gainer top 10s we were hitting late last summer.
Yeah, I mean, Pocono, JHN, we made a boatload of money on JHN a couple of weeks. Pocono was one of them.
He fed the entire IBT family steaks for weeks at JHN. We need him back. We need you, JHN. We need you to run top 10 again. Come on, buddy.
Well, hey, Legacy's kind of both on par in terms of not running great the last couple of weeks, but they are a team especially that they can flip the switch like that.
Yes.
And move up a couple of spots here. So in terms of placement props, that's it for me. Seth, man, I'm excited to welcome you to the show. We got some cup bets. We got some cup bets here. We got a couple from Kalshi here, the top 20s. And those Kalshi odds, I'll talk about them in the lower series for sure, because we're really excited about them. I should even give them credit in the impressions, but we'll talk about it in a minute. First, let's get to your top 20s of the week.
Yeah, let's fire it up, man. Riley Herbst, top 20, plus 145 at Kalshi. I'm down a unit on this one, Elliott. And this is pretty simple for me, right? First, you look at where's Riley Herbst in the projections? Well, Riley Herbst outside the top 20, you don't love that, but 24th, but he's just high for this guy, right? And you look what he's done in particularly when he's come to Texas in the Cup Series. It hasn't been often. It's only been once, but it was 14th, right? And you also look at what he has done here, both from an Xfinity standpoint. Let's go through his finishes. He raced, this was one of his one-offs last year. He finished third in the Xfinity Series for Joe Gibbs Racing. Even when he was running SHR, he had some really good runs. Last two, not so good, but 2022 finished fifth, finished eighth there in 2022 and 2023. And then also you look at what he's done this year at the comps. wasn't like awesome at Las Vegas, but 23rd, he started 20, so he's running around there all day. Kansas 14th. Like, this is a track, if we're expecting Reddick to be hot, if we're expecting Bubba to be hot, I think you're expecting here Riley Herbst to be hot. So plus 145 feels like a really, really good number for someone here in Riley Herbst who's had decent finishes. And let's just keep cranking it up here. Give me a little Daniel Suarez, top 20, minus 183 at Kalshi. So drinking a heavy glass of juice here, Elliot. But we talked about it earlier. Daniel Suarez, his finishes here in the next gen era, 12th, 8th, 5th, 10th, right? So 8.75 average finish for Danny Suarez. He comes in 17th in the projections here, 33rd here, or excuse me, third overall here, Texas next gen average finishes. And then just like you go across too, like I like what Daniel Suarez has done pretty much all season at the comp tracks. He's qualified particularly strong. You look at what he's done in the total speed rankings in the next gen era here at Texas too. He's still well inside the top 20, 15th overall. So I think Daniel Suarez, there's just a lot to like. And like, again, it wasn't like crazy finishes that he's had at Texas, but they've been inside the top 20 conveniently or convincingly. And also like this season, dude, like what else do you want? 18th at Las Vegas for Daniel Suarez, 19th at Kansas. I mean, they're not, great finishes by any means, but he's been up there. I saw him actually plus 125 against Ross Chastain this week in our projections. And that was something I was kind of interested in as well. So I head to head, but I just couldn't get invested with it. So I just, hey, I'm going to drink the juice here on Daniel Suarez via top 20. This is 2.5 units down for me. I bet it earlier this season it came through. So I'm going to hope again. If Daniel Suarez keeps it clean, Elliot, he should be a top 20 car.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure. I like that Suarez versus Chastain matchup. I might have to go find that. Yeah. Nobody is happier that Watkins Glen was moved up earlier in the season than Trackhouse because we might do something other than shit on them next week with SVG and Zelich in the fold and even Ross being a decent road course guy.
Oh, Chamberlain dogged me in the chat saying Riley Herbst, bro. Hope not a plan, Seth. Listen, dude, he did it last year at Texas. He did it earlier this year at Kansas. He's done it. He's done it, Chamberlain. This ain't hope, bro. This ain't living on a prayer. This is living on stats and information, brother. So I'm here and plus 145. I'm about it. Come on, Chamberlain.
I will give credit to Riley Herbst. I mean, part of it surely is 2311 rising tide lifts all boats.
They're on roids.
But Riley Herbst for sure has run respectably. He's run where the car is going to put him, which in some cases has been, top 15, top 10 runs. And it's almost the same with Suarez. These are two guys who, again, they're in contract years. They're guys who maybe if the dominoes fall poorly for them, may not be among that top 36 next year. They both have raced well enough this year. They're both in good enough situations where they're going to make the conversations hard for sure. Suarez, really good season so far for Spire. He may even be somebody to sniff a top 10. I might have to look if I can get like a Jones-esque number, like a plus 460, which I don't think I could. Yeah. But if I could, I might consider a top 10. Now, the top 20, I may have to throw that on my card. And with Herbst, too, I mean, we know Corey Heim is going to be in Cup for 2311 next year, but Herbst may end up having a seat. He's run really well this year, and long may it continue for the kid because last year we really had every reason just beat him up week in, week out.
Dude, I mean, he's arguably one of the biggest surprises. If you Ty Gibbs, Carson Osvar, they've elevated themselves as top 10 drivers. Yeah. Riley Herbst is a dang top 10, 20 driver right now. Like he has been really, really good. And again, this is a bet on speed. I think the only way that Riley Herbst does not finish top 20 is he wrecks or he gets caught up on pit road. So, and Chamberlain saying hit him with the mega ass 3000, Elliot.
I already did that when we talked about Ty Dillon earlier, and I might have to do it too with Andrew mentioning Austin Dillon being good here. He won in the spring of 20 or it's in 21 or somewhere like that. But RCR, man, I just don't know. So no mega ass 3000 this week, unfortunately. Maybe we'll bring it back next week at the Glen, depending on what bets we have. Yeah.
Just some crickets out there for the fine folks.
Yeah, Chamberlain, sorry, I can't do it, man. I know you had my back with Bowman earlier, but all right, let's get to a couple matchups here. Chase Briscoe over William Byron is my favorite matchup of the week. And this is one of those where for both of these guys, something's kind of got to give. But I'm taking the edge on the 19 here on the plus money as the books are. Byron's been solid at Texas. Won this race in 2023, has 4 top 11 finishes in the next gen, but it just hasn't been a great couple of weeks for the 24. I mean, laid an absolute stinker at Bristol. Kansas, he ended up 7th, but his average running position was 14th, so not a great day there. And I feel like in terms of momentum, the 24 car just doesn't have it right now. Briscoe trending a little better, 3 top 10s in Texas in the next gen car. He's the believer of the moon phases as well there, that Wax and Gibbous might help him out. It's one of those where neither of these guys are having the season that they want. Someone's going to have to turn it on, and I think I'm giving the edge to Briscoe first.
Yeah, I can't do it for me. I like Briscoe this week, but like William Byron comes in second in the projections, Briscoe, and part of that is like the SHR experience, right? He's 12th. Yeah. Just can't take that big of a model gap the other way, even at plus 110. So it's a no from me, dog. But I do appreciate the fact, like Chase Briscoe, we haven't talked about him in a couple weeks, so glad he makes an appearance here on the show.
Yeah, so I'm fading a Hendrick car. You're picking a Hendrick car in your matchup for the week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's fire it up here with a little Chase Elliott, minus 135 at DraftKings versus Joey Logano, 2.5 units down for me. And part of this is like, hey, I'm gonna follow the Bible here over in the IBT projections, right? We got Chase Elliott coming in here, a crispy 4th. Elliott, you talked about him earlier. He's been really good at Texas. He's been really good at these comp tracks as well. Joey Logano, a guy I'm just not into. I know he won this race last year. I don't really give a damn. He is 16th in the projections. He's been terrible at the comps so far that, you look at what Chase Elliott's done this season against Joey Logano on these comp tracks, 2-0 this season. He finished 8th at Las Vegas. Joey Logano 30th. Kansas 2nd. Joey Logano 15th. Joey Logano hasn't been even a top 10 car. Even if Chase Elliott's like at the low end of his spectrum where he's still a 13th, a 14th place car, I think that's still going to be enough to bet Joey Logano. 2.5 units down for me. Favorite bet of the weekend right here, Chase Elliott versus Joey Logano, minus 135 at DraftKings. And shout out to our guy, Erik, who had to jet here, saying, love the show. Thanks. And glad I'm a paid IBT Patreon member. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We appreciate that. We appreciate that hanging out with us over there in the IBT family. Erik, Lars is always a good time and a good chatter over there. So we appreciate that. And all right, there we go. A little love for my boy Hunter too. Let's go. This might be the tail of the weekend. So jump on it right now. I know you don't use DraftKings, Elliot, because you use them when you're like 5 and they won't let you make an account now. But yeah, a little DK action there.
Yeah, I might have to hop on it though. I feel like I'll be okay. Used it to sign up for a website, get a discount on baseball news. So it wasn't anything to do with betting or anything like that. So maybe I'm past the stat.
Did you get the discount on the baseball news? Did you get the discount?
Yeah, it was something like you get a free year if you make an account. So I just made an account, never did anything with it. And
how old were you?
I was in high school, so I was like 16 or something.
Wow.
Who even knows what the betting laws were back then? I
was about to say, I'm surprised we even had DraftKings back when we were 16 in the great state of Pennsylvania. So
I don't remember how it worked, man, but hey, I might have to give it a shot because this is a bet that based on my placement props, I have Chase for a top 5 and I have Logano for a top 10. So that in theory probably means I like the 9 over the 22. Gonna have to look
One of us. Come on, let's go. Squad ride of the week.
All right, man. I got one more Cup Series bet, and it's one more matchup here. Bubba Wallace in that hella interesting Chumba Casino car this week. I'm taking
that's so ugly. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, but it's one of those that it's Chumba's they're trying to plug their silly slot machine games or whatever they're doing over there. But hey, it's going to be fun to look at for sure. Plus 125 over Ryan Blaney. Neither are super flashy here, but this is another what have you done for me lately bet that I have a little more data on than I did the Briscoe over Byron. First of all, this is a rare Blaney fade for me. I mean, I think I put on the record about a month ago, Blaney top 5 would be a slam dunk every week. Yeah, then he went and ran like garbage at Kansas, and it didn't do so well. It gets caught up in the wreck at Dega, and all of a sudden it's okay for me to fade Blaney. He does have a pair of T4s here in the next gen, won that all-star race. Thankfully held up the window net long enough to do that, but also a pair of 28th or worse finishes. And you look at the comps this year, P24 Kansas, maybe his worst car that we've seen him have in years, and then only ran 16th at Vegas. So Blaney and the 1.5 miles not going so well. As for the 23, you look at last year again, was running pretty well before crashing and knocking out multiple cars, including the car that would have won the race, the 48. That's neither here nor there. The 2 races here prior though, P7 and P3. P5 at Kansas for Bubba, ran 9th at Vegas. We really like 2311. We've got a bet combined between the show on all 3 2311 drivers.
Yeah.
And Bubba Wallace, one of those guys, not normally looking at him over Blaney, but this week with all the trends, all the data, everything that we like about 2311 and everything we don't like about Penske, give me that the Green Dragon or whatever the hell is on that 23 car to run pretty well in this race.
It kind of reminds me of like, do you remember that like lizard drink back in the day?
Like Sobe or something.
Yeah,
No?
it kind of reminds me of that for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't know if they had an eye on that too, but yeah, I never tried that. Did you ever drink Scoby? Is that what you called it?
I think it was Sobe,
Sobe.
SOBE.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was almost like, wasn't it like kind of a mix between like an energy drink and like a vitamin water or something like that?
It almost
I
like
don't
looked
think I
milky.
really ever had it. Yeah, it was one of those where it was so popular, and then I looked up one day and it didn't exist anymore. So
Yeah.
I think maybe they sold their mascot rights to the Chumba. I don't know.
There you go. No, I actually do like this one, particularly because Bubba comes in 6th in the projections, and we have Blaney actually all the way down in 13th. So the thing you're betting on with this, though, Elliot, you got to keep in mind, can Bubba keep his head on? Because it's been a couple of bad weeks from him. So, last week, just a racing deal, but the week before that, I can't say as much. So, yeah, Hunter in here, he knows Sobe was great. Had a glass bottle. We were a little too young to be drinking Sobe back in the day, Elliot, but I know it was popular. I felt like all your like teenage high school friends were ripping Sobe back in the day.
I wasn't drinking a lot of Sobe. I had a Vault every once in a while. I don't know if you remember Vault soda. That was only around for 5 or 6 years. Coke product.
Okay.
It was almost Coke's competitor to Mountain Dew. I mean, they had Mellow Yellow.
Yeah.
More of a like in one of those energy drink soda type of things. That was pretty good, but that hasn't been around in quite some time either.
Yeah, and Elliot was probably drinking Amp as a kid too.
2008, the first year with Dale, first one I ever tried, they had it's called Trade and Paint, and you could have they had like a 88 car was on there and a little like wall scrape design. It was fun.
Yeah, and that's why you're an energy drink fiend these days. But I haven't ran an Amp back in the day, just a sip. I just my stepdad was a big Dale Jr. guy, so he was running Amp. Hey, kind of give that a little whirl, and it wasn't for me, still not for me. But they still got Amps out there, right? They're still hanging around.
They're harder to find, and they were supposed to rebranded back in like January, and you still can't find those anywhere. But they do still have original Amp, and you can find a cherry flavor out there too once in a while. But yeah, who knows? Maybe if Dale was sponsored by Starbucks coffee, I'd be the biggest coffee guy in the world. Who knows?
There you go. Let us know down in the chat. Have you guys sipped on any Amps? Are you a fan of Amps? And also Sobe. Were you running Sobe back in the day? We want to know. I wanted that. That is the question I want.
My current favorite energy drink, and it's been this way for years. And the first time I ever got to try it was at Pocono. The first year we went in 2023. I look at one of the Monster fridges, and it's full of pink cans. I'm a big strawberry fan, and they had zero sugar. It's called Strawberry Dreams with Monster. And I got plenty of that in my fridge right now. That's been damn near a daily driver for me for a while there. So again, let us know your morning caffeine preferences too in the comments. We're ready.
I'm about an on or two in the upper decky, and that's all I got in the morning for me, buddy.
Not the zones though. You made that very clear. Not the zones.
Yes, not the zones.
All right, so that's it for our cup bets. We got a couple in the O'Reilly, and then I got a couple in the trucks. Before we get to what I'm really excited about for the week, Sheldon Creed, top 5, plus 175 via the score. And it's time for me to stop, whether I'm ignoring Creed, fading him, sleeping on him. It's time for me to stop that. He's tremendously impressed me this year. And you look at his stats since winning Atlanta on all the oval races. I think he was 11th at Coda or something. Since winning Atlanta, he has been no worse than 6th on an oval. That includes 3 top 3 finishes, 2 top 10s for his career here in the O'Reilly Series. Back in his truck days, got a win here and a P6 here. Sheldon Creed, we didn't, I don't think we brought him up in terms of title contenders in O'Reilly. He certainly is a guy who is going to be right on all guys' heels all summer.
Yeah, I like Sheldon Creed a lot. Not this week, though. His Texas stats are actually kind of ass, if I'm being honest with you. They're not good, but he's been really good on the comps, right? And that's kind of what you're betting here. So I'm cool with it. I think it's a good number. I was actually kind of sneaking around, sniffing, see if there was some top 5 value on him. I just can't get there, particularly with Larson and Zilich in this race. I think it kind of makes that market a little bit shorter. So that's probably why you're getting the plus 175. I'll be back on Sheldon Creed, though, in a couple weeks. I finally hit a bet on him. Maybe for one of the first times in my gambling career here a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Creed, one of those guys. I'm going with the what have you done for me lately over the Texas, but totally understand. The biggest point of excitement, though, looking over on Kalshi, the prediction markets, I'm glad I got in when I did. Not only for the O'Reilly series that we'll talk about, but for the truck series, top 10 finishes for both of the lower series. Absolutely rocks. Couldn't be more excited. First of all, you better keep it around for the road course next week at Watkins Glen.
Yes.
If you've watched this show for a road course, you already know what my biggest bet of next week is going to be. I won't spoil it. We'll call that a tease for next week. But having those top 10 markets, it's something that we are DJed enough to bet. And you look at some of these numbers, We definitely are, man. I'll lead off with your top 10 for the week in the O'Reilly series.
Yeah, so let's keep in the same camp here. Give me a little Salmon Slam Mayer, top 10, minus 165 at Kalshi, down 2 units on this. Dude, this is a guy, Sam Mayer, last season at this race in particular. You look at average running position, Sam Mayer, 8.6. He finishes 5th. He was out there for 9 fastest laps, led 18 laps as well in this race. Like Sam Mayer, this is a good track for him as well. You look at what you've done for me in the recent era of the O'Reilly, formerly Xfinity Series race. Well, go back 2024. Oh, yeah, he won that race. Oh, yeah. He led 5 laps, finished stage 2 inside the top 10. Like, this is another guy who you just look back, he did have a 38th place finish. He was involved in an accident back in 2023, but before that, 8th, 3rd. And then even this season for Sam Mayer, it hasn't been awesome. He finishes 35 at 35th in one of our comp tracks at Texas. Well, he was on the pole for that. That looks pretty good. He led 32 laps, got involved with something there. And then Kansas finishes P9 there at Kansas as well. So like Sam Mayer's got to pick it up. He's like back half of the top 10 right now in the standings. I think this is a beautiful spot to bet Sam Mayer. If you want to ladder this up to top 5, I'm totally cool with that as well. But he's actually the driver from this camp I want to be invested with. At minus 176, it's a lot of juice. I know I'm drinking the juice, but thank you for putting this in the chat. Honestly, this made my entire day, Elliot, when I saw not only do we have top 10 O'Reilly series odds, but also truck series for the first time. I was 6 to midnight very, very quickly, my friend.
Yeah, super exciting for sure. If you want an idea of what some of the front runners have, I have a Jesse Love top 10 bet minus 219 over on Kalshi. But I like a little plus money action. Everybody knows it. So Parker Retzlaff right for even money plus 108 on Kalshi. Like I said, man, having these offerings, it's enough to make a grown man cry. Certainly hope it sticks around. Retzlaff, some solid numbers. He's been the pleasant surprise of the year, one of them at least in the O'Reilly series. You look at comps, qualified near the front of Kansas, unfortunately was taken out in that accident where Carson Kvapil goes barrel rolling down the backstretch, knocked him out there. He ran 12th at Vegas. If you want to look at other intermediate-ish ovals, 8th at the Rock, one of those teams going to be floating around the back half of that top 10. If not, maybe a little behind it, but plus money and actually having the O'Reilly top 10s, I really enjoy it. Last year, P14 here in worse equipment. Retzlaff hoping to keep the good momentum going. Still holding on to 10th in points, too. One of those guys who are going to be in that chase battle all summer long.
Can I offer a nickname suggestion for Parker Retzlaff?
What do we got?
Slim Jim. How about that? Is that offensive or is that okay?
I think based on what we've done before, including calling Michael McDowell McNasty to his face, I think we can pull up Slim Jim when we get to for Parker Retzlaff.
Little Slim Jim, and he's been good this season too, so I love that. Hunter asking, hell yeah, I need a Dean Thompson top 10 at huge odds. Hey, that's why those markets are there for you, man. Andrew saying Logano lap averages last spring, 5 lap 31st, 10 lap 25th, and then 15 laps 19th. So don't get too in love with practice. Yeah, it's a great point out there. And Busch light count, Chamberlain's asking. So actually, I've been on a little bit of a Pabst light kick, Elliot. I don't know if you've dabbled in the PBR light streets lately, but $19.99 for a pretty good time out there right now. So with inflation hitting everything, including the beer markets, it's like almost $30 for icy light 30 pack. So when I need to switch it up a little bit from the lattes, that's where I roll. But I got a Pabst light down here, Chamberlain, and then also I got maybe an 8th. So we'll have one Busch light here that is down. But oh yeah, look at that, baby. Little JGR 100 win koozie. How about that, Elliot?
JGR, you mean JRM?
Oh, JRM. Sorry, JRM. The Busch Light's getting me a little too much tonight, I guess. Yeah.
Really. Got plenty of Busch Light Apple. Got it in the draft koozie here.
Let me see that. Let me see that. Bring that koozie back up.
Got the there's the camera. Got the bridges
Did you get
here.
Me one? Did you buy me one?
So the funny thing was, I bought a couple of things down at the draft, but then I was like, I don't want to buy too much because I bet this is all going to be on sale. And they put it on sale immediately after the draft was done. So I bet you can find this floating around online on clearance. If I happen to see it, I'll have to pass along.
Okay. Because my brother was down at the draft. I said, hey, look for a koozie for me. That's all I want. Because I have one from Las Vegas when I went out to the draft a couple years ago. I need one from Pittsburgh, brother. That one looks dope. You got bridges on there. You got the whole Pittsburgh landscape.
Yeah, the bridge, the skyline. That was the one for me for sure.
That's the 101 of koozies right now. That is a hot koozie. Even better than this I mean, this is a pretty nice, JRM koozie too. But my
Yeah, I
goodness,
enjoy that. I got plenty of racing ones over here for sure. If I happen to find it, maybe you'll see a little package at your house in a couple days. A little 75% off koozie if I can still find it.
I'll find it.
So going back to Dean Thompson here before I get to the trucks, the interesting wrinkle about the prediction markets as well is that I don't know if it's like this because it's one that like nobody's bet or something like that. But so you have a couple of these guys in the mid tier, Dean Thompson being one of them, where the yes number right now for a top 10 is minus 52.77. So that's obviously an unbettable number. It's almost a null. And the no is at minus 34.85. And we see that with a couple of guys like Brennan Poole, minus 5,200. A couple, Kyle Sieg, Ryan Ellis, Brad Perez. So they have Dean Thompson almost in that like a no bet category for whatever reason. It's the same for Sheldon Creed. So I don't really know what that is. We're still learning kind of how these prediction markets work. So right now, I don't know if it's an unbettable number because no one's betted, or it's almost like that's the way making it unavailable, or I'm not sure. But right now, it's not a bettable number.
Part of it is being peer-to-peer, right? So like you can actually like you'll see bid on there where you can actually put a bid, and like if someone will take the other side, you can get action in on it. But part of that is being peer-to-peer, and someone might have just juiced the heck out of it. It is like Chambers said it's volume sensitive. So if you do go out there, like even for this Parker Redsloff top 10 at Kalshi, if you put 2 units on it, this price might change. You know what I mean? So it's something to just keep in mind as you're placing those.
Yeah. Obviously, it's gone up to plus 109. So there you go. If you want a better number than this, you
move the line. Elliott's moving the line out there, folks.
That's the beauty of it, man. But hey, if they're going to keep giving us these odds, we're going to keep betting there. A couple of truck bets before we get to some extra fun at the end of the show. Appreciate everyone sticking around. Lots to talk about. Means it's a long one. But hey, this is what you watch for, right? Is to make some money. So I feel all right here. Truck Series, Brandon Jones, top 5. I don't know if you've ever, while we're talking about all these consumer products here getting off the rails. I think it's pronounced Sprecher. It's a good brand of root beer. They have a low-cal version. I tried it the other day. Pretty solid root beer, and I'm not normally a root beer guy, but so they're sponsoring Brandon Jones in this race for Tricon. Top 5 plus 450 over on Bet365. He's going with double duty this week, and he's got to be feeling good. This may be his best start to an O'Reilly season. I mean, probably should have won a race. Has had some really good finishes there. He's got some experience here at Texas. Ran this race last year, crashed out early, so not so great. Had the 6th place run at Kansas that probably should have been a win. 10th place last year at Charlotte. That 6th may have been last year at Kansas. Sorry. 2 top 5s, 8 top 10s for his career here at Texas in the O'Reilly series. And I got to say, even if you don't have a lot of faith in Jones, in terms of truck top 5 bets, it's probably better than my BJ McLeod top 5 I bet last year at Charlotte. So I at least can go with that. And then a matchup here, Lane Riggs over Kyle Busch, fading KFB this week, plus 120 on Bet365. For Lane, it has been a struggle outside of the St. Pete win. Not the season he's wanted. Tied right now with Heim in points, even with Heim totally missing a couple of races there. At this track, 2 for 2 at crashing out for Lane, so doesn't have any sort of good numbers here at all. But Kyle Busch, I mean, he's had good stats at Texas, like we pointed out. He's won a whole bunch in a row here. He still has not lit the world on fire in any sense of the imagination. Was able to win in a super speedway mainly only because Carson Hocevar didn't have the truck to actually pass him and just push him to the win instead. And then, I mean, he was toward the front at Bristol on strategy and ends up not being able to get the truck refired, and he didn't have the speed to get back to the front. So it's a race where if Kyle Busch is able to hold control of it, he's in good shape, but he's not a guy who's going to be able to power through the field like he would be in the old school KBM days or even in some of the later stage KBM days. We found out the Spire trucks are certainly not world beaters. No. So give me the guy who's our title favorite with a little bit of speed boost from old Lucky Dog riding along there.
Yeah, I don't hate that. And honestly, like I would love to bet Kyle Busch this week. I would. Like I've been staring down top 3 numbers on him all week, Elliot. And like I can't with this truck. Like I get that he wanted Atlanta, but Atlanta's like he's even better at Atlanta than he is Texas, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah, and so just with the 1.5 miles and the issues these trucks are having, like it's a hard no from me. So like the fact that you are getting, like I was pretty against this bet when I first saw you put it in, but the fact that you are like you get the whole equipment factor that Kyle Busch's equipment could just go to shit at any single second, right? So you get that, you get a guy who should be the championship favorite at plus money. I can't complain.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going with too. We got a new partner here to shout out here in a minute. But first, we'll talk about our head-to-head matchup contest. And man, Chris is still the dominant force here. He's really whooping us, but I'm right behind him again.
Closing it
right this year. So that's 10 weeks we've done it, and he's hit 8. That's pretty solid. 7 out of 10.
11.
I enjoy that too. Oh, 11 this week. That's right. 10 races so far. So I'm in second. We got Blurry Kyle and CJ tied for third there at 6. You're in pretty good shape there, tied with our old buddy Larson there at 5th, and a couple others bringing up the rear there. Always plenty of time to join the IBT Racing family and get involved in this head-to-head matchup contest in dashbetweenmedia.com/chat. It's in the episode description. I'm hoping to catch Chris this week, get back to the lead, and I am riding on that Chase Briscoe over William Byron matchup to do it. How about you, man?
Chase Elliott versus Joey Logano, 2.5 units down, -135 at DraftKings feels like the safest bet on the board for me. So I'm the founder of the head-to-head contest. I live on head-to-heads. I've not been as good at head-to-heads this season, though. They've been a struggle, which honestly has led to some of my disappointing weeks. So need to get back in there with NASCAR's most popular driver this week for me.
Chris, man, we're watching you. We're coming for you, man.
Come, baby.
The rain is over soon. All right, man, that's going to be a lot of fun. To close out the show tonight, as I mentioned, we do have a new partner this week. We want to shout out Fantasy Spin, Seth.
Yeah, let's fire up a little bit of fantasy spin and jump into it here.
Spin, pick, win.
All right, so Fantasy Spin, they are a great platform. I actually know very good friend of mine is actually one of the founders of Fantasy Spin. It was better known as Better Fantasy back in the day, and they have since shifted to Fantasy Spin. It is a really fun and arguably addicting platform because if you want a different kind of daily fantasy experience, Fantasy Spin lets you spin your lineup, make your picks, and compete in tournaments based on real player performance. Like a slot machine, you can absolutely hit the jackpot. We've been playing it a little bit. I know our guy Jake Perry on the golf side has been playing all season, and he's already up. And he's said he's up like 50 units on the year for it already. So this is a unique game that combines the skill of drafting a DFS lineups with a captivating gamified experience. Enter a contest and spin your DFS lineups to win big. Whether you're playing for free or for cash, Fantasy Spin has you covered. Check out the link in the episode description. Use the promo code IBTNASCAR. Deposit at least $10 and play at least one tournament, and you're going to get $30 in bonus play. Support the program. Check out Fantasy Spin, and let's make some noise for the rest of the racing season. Again, that's promo code IBTNASCAR. Let them know we sent you. Again, this is one of those products, Elliot, I'm very passionate about, in particular because I know the guys that this comes from. And they are a couple guys like us, a couple gyms, if you would, who just love playing fantasy sports. And now that they've launched a NASCAR section of their app, I'm really excited for it. So, Elliot, we're actually going to do a little spin here. We're going to take this for a little joyride here. We're going to do an Xfinity Series lineup for Saturday. What do you say?
Let's roll, man. I'm excited to see this.
Okay, so we're going to do the first spin here. And when the spin comes in, you're going to get a bunch of different drivers. We have to claim one of these drivers. It's telling us to go with Ryan Sieg, highest projected points. Ryan Sieg did have that run at Texas a couple years ago. He almost won that race, Sam Mayer. Do you like Sieg? I think Dylan and Sammy Smith and Gray, who's been on a heater too. Where do you want to go with this first one, Elliot?
Yeah, man, this is pretty solid because Sieg definitely has been good here. Austin Dillon, I know it's a bonus RCR car, but they generally are fairly fast. Sammy Smith is kind of okay. I kind of would want to lean Taylor Gray here, but I'm also okay with Sieg.
Let's roll Sieg. All right. Even though Sieg was a complete asshole to me last week at Pocono, or last year at Pocono, and I don't care to admit that on camera.
Hey, man, it's one of those. A lot of people would talk to him. If we were his first choice, I'm sure he would have given us a lot. But it's one of those. You got to hit everything you can on pit road. If you guys have ever covered a race, it moves fast. It was one of those where he's like, "Oh, are we gonna talk to these guys?" Nah, I've talked to enough people. Let's move.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right, Ryan. So you keep living your life, brother.
This is an easy pick right here. I mean, we got to go all guy, right?
Yeah, you got Allgaier, you got Quapple, Kyle Sieg, Alfredo. We could run double Sieg out there, but I think you got to go.
With Allgaier on the board, you can't do that. If it was a couple different drivers, but
look, they even got points on that, fantasy points per game, and the fact that they already have O'Reilly series and Truck series up there, like it's showing how innovative this game really is. Okay, now we're picking from some scrubs here. We got Garrett.
Go ahead. Sorry, you read the drivers.
I will say Garrett Smithley, great social follow. Not a great driver. Love Garrett Smithley, though. Blaine Perkins, Ryan Ellis. Is this a Jebediah Burton run, though, you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the two Jordan Anderson cars. Garrett Smithley, great kid. Latrobe, Pennsylvania's finest. Ryan Ellis, one of those O'Reilly lifers. Probably Jeb Burton over Perkins here for sure. Jordan Anderson Racing. Solid run for them at Dega. Of course, they always want to win those races, but can't always.
All right, 2 spins left. The boy Dean Thompson on the board, but we got Kyle Larson. We got to go Kyle Larson, and keep in mind, Elliot, this next spin, we are stuck with this. So we got to go lock in Kyle Larson, and I think that's the move right there. What do you say?
Absolutely. No argument there.
Okay, Brandon Jones and Austin Hill. Wow, we got a game. So
man, most years, yeah. Oh, we keep both of them. Okay, great. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. So that's not bad for sure. We were talking about Jones is a good pick here. I got the truck bet on him. And Austin Hill, RCR is solid. Austin Hill hasn't been my favorite this year.
Right.
Man, this does look like a really, really solid lineup for the O'Reilly race.
Well, and that's the fun thing about fantasy spin, Elliot, is like you can kind of, if you get lucky, because there is an element of luck to this, right? With a lot of DFS, there's not luck. It is skill based. But here you get the spins where it's going to be a little bit luck. But to come out of here with 2 of the favorites and Kyle Larson and Allgaier, you got guys like Brandon Jones and Austin Hill can run up there. Ryan Sieg, Jeb Burton, guys who are going to be in the mix as well. I don't hate this at all. And I think what's particularly fun about this is, like, you and I, we are in a state right now that is not legal for fantasy spin for like the cash games, but we can play with credit as well and still win prizes. So whether you're in one of these states where you can sign up and use real cash, I highly recommend it. It's a great way to continue to invest in the NASCAR, PGA, NFL, college football betting markets. And it's also a way, if you're not in those states, and I will say they're coming to more states soon, so I'm expecting them to be in PA for cash games very soon. But let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let us know in live chat as well. Do you like this? Okay. Chamberlain's playing along. Said gotta be Jeb. Quapple is in the 9, so good point out there too. So Elliot, first thoughts after taking fantasy spin for a little spin around the track.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. Chamberlain with a good note there about the driver numbers aren't necessarily on, but it does keep the entry list accurate here. So you're still going to win just the same, whether it's Larson, obviously not in the 5 in O'Reilly, but it doesn't matter because he's a damn good pick. Getting Larson and Allgaier are really awesome. And yeah, that was really fun. Gonna have to hop on the free version and take a spin and set a truck line up too once we get done here, I think.
Yeah, it's a great time. And again, the easiest way to support us, guys, is by supporting our partners. So it comes back to us in spades. And like when they see that our users and our audience are engaged with them, they love it. They continue to support us, which helps us continue to bring you more content. It helps us go to more races. So if you can honestly check them out, download the app. If you have the extra funds, put $10 in there, take it for a spin, and we would really, really appreciate that. It would go a long way for us as we continue to bring you more motorsports betting coverage and betting coverage for all those great sports like college football, like NASCAR, like PGA, and like the NFL. We'd really, really appreciate that. So thank you once again to Fantasy Spin. And Elliot, let's just take it one more time because I've really enjoyed that video. Let's give it one more time in Fantasy Spin land, baby.
Spin, pick, win.
And hey, man, I really love the free option too. You can really hone your skills waiting for it to become legal in your state and start to win some money there. So that was really fun. Shout out Fantasy Spin. All the links to all the great partners, great things we got going on, all in the episode description. Got the sub channel that we want you to subscribe to. Join the IBT Racing family, whether on the free tier or the paid tier. Might still even have a spot to give away. We'll have to work that out for sure. And then Fantasy Spin, of course, appreciate them for hopping on as well. Man, it has been looks awesome. I'd rather bet a mortgage on there. All right, so it's a Seth versus Chamberlain grudge match this week on Riley Herbst. We'll see how it goes. I know it's been a long ride down the back road tonight, but appreciate each and every one of you for riding along with us. Anything else you want to plug, Seth, before we wrap up?
No, I just want to say shout out to everyone who's been watching the back road this season, man. And shout out again. We'll miss you, Rod Villagomez. Appreciate you being an American hero out there. Appreciate our own hero in the back end, Chris Calicio, who continues to do an amazing job with our IBT NASCAR betting model and projections. And thank you to just everyone, man. Chamberlain, Hunter, Andrew, everyone who's in the chat, Eric. Of course, we have School who's been hanging out with us tonight. Some of the OGs, longtime members of the channel, like Nick and Marcus. Just thank you guys so much. Like, Ellie, I love chatting it up with you every single week, but it's a lot more fun when we get this engagement from the chat. So I'm just so appreciative of everyone checking out all the IBT content we have to offer, checking out our partners like Fantasy Spin. It's just, we are blessed to be in this position, and I'm blessed to ride shotgun with you each and every single week, my friend.
Thanks again to you, Seth, and thanks again to everyone who watched this week. Best of luck with your bets at Texas. We'll see you again next time on the Backroad.